What does it feel like to wear this necklace and hold that trophy and celebrate with your teammates?
I'm so happy. The whole team played amazing, and it's the only reason we're here is because of every single one of them. I'm so happy.
We're going to start with the Empire, and they've got two big names. You're talking about Alex Atkins and Dan Desmarais.
Doing it all for Chicago!
MVP finalist, the runner-up to fellow Belgian superstar Tove de Khan.
We just have to be consistent in how we play, how we train.
This team this year has not won anything, but I just bring that mindset of always staying hungry.
Elevates in the end zone.
I love where we're at. I love our team this year. I loved our team last year.
Atlanta finding its zone.
I think the DNA of any successful team is hard work.
I think there's just going to be a different kind of
This
pressure.
would be a miracle, and miracles can happen. Are you believing what you're seeing? A rare Sunday showcase of Friday Night Frisbee from New York City. There's a slight breeze in the air. DC has made the trip up north, and today DC tries to pull off what would be an upset over a New York Empire team coming off an impressive 9-goal win over Toronto last Friday. Sunday afternoon, Mother's Day matinee, Friday Night Frisbee, a little different, but we're going to roll with it, and we welcome you to FNF Game Day. We are down on the field alongside Keith Raynor. I am Evan Lepler. Keith, it's great to be back with you. And we got a beautiful day for Ultimate, and we should start by saying Happy Mother's Day to all.
Absolutely. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there, including our own partners. And it's a beautiful day here for Ultimate. We got the sun is shining, just a light breeze, nice and comfortable, a little humid. I think the players are really going to be ready to go here on the fast turf.
It's already been an exhilarating week 3 in the UFA. If you missed it last night, the game of the week out in San Diego, and the Growlers got some revenge. It was a huge game for San Diego after dropping their opener against Carolina. But they jumped out to the early lead, and despite Atlanta scrapping and clawing all way, a 1-point win for the Growlers and the second loss of the season in 3 weeks for the Atlanta Hustle.
San Diego able to chew up a lot of time late in that game, and now you're right, the Hustle already with 2 losses. If DC loses here, they'll be in the same boat. We're already seeing the standings start to take shape in some of these key divisional races. There's not a lot of time for some of these teams to figure things out.
There were some real gutsy moments down the stretch. Brett Holzmeyer, who might have broken his hand, still getting blocks and being involved late in the game. Austin Taylor, mighty impactful, but there were a lot of good guys on San Diego that played well last night. I was really impressed with Max Gibson making plays in the air. Khalif El-Salam also came through in the clutch, and really a season-changing victory for the Growlers, because if they're 0-2, their next game is at Oakland, who's just looking as good as anybody in the league right now, including Boston, including New York. The Growlers look, though, like they can compete in that top tier, don't you think?
They're one tier below that, I think, because you mentioned, Oakland, New York, Boston looking really powerhouse. Don't forget about Carolina at the top of that South Division. They have been dominant in this 3-0 start. They have a tremendous point differential, but they still have a lot of matchups against these mid-table teams like Atlanta and San Diego to come. So the South still got to figure things out, but everybody's looking up at Carolina right now.
And that San Diego-Atlanta game was just one of the 3 games that were decided by a single goal. Madison snuck past Indy on the road. Max Sample getting the block at the buzzer to deny the AlleyCats' quest for overtime. And Toronto coming from behind on their home field to beat Montreal. The Royale have had a bunch of impressive sequences, including against DC last Sunday, and yet the Royale are sitting at 0-3 as they head into their Sunday afternoon game at Pittsburgh.
Yeah, Evan, you never want your best results to be close losses, and Montreal is stacking a few of those up, losing to this DC team a couple weeks ago as well. So, like we said, these standings are starting to be firm up already. It's getting late early for some of these teams. Montreal behind the 8 ball, but they'll have their eyes on this game to see what other spots are going to be available in these championship weekend races.
Well, for much of the afternoon last Sunday, Keith, it felt like the DC Breeze might be the team dropping to 0-2. They lost their opener at Boston. Understandable. The reigning champs, Tove de Khan, is on a warpath right now. And that game against Montreal, even though the Royale were on the second day of a back-to-back, it felt at times like Montreal had better energy, and yet DC came into the clutch. They're 1-1. What are your thoughts on the Breeze as they enter this challenge today against New York?
When you look at this DC team, you see a team that's adjusting to a new set of personnel. Gone are the stars of yesteryear in many cases, and they're having to integrate new players. They're bringing up younger players into their newer roles and asking some people to feature in a way they haven't. How about Charlie McCutcheon coming up with those 3 blocks on Malik Ojai-Sama despite the size differential in that game against Montreal? They're asking these young guys to step up and asking some of the vets like McCutcheon, like Andrew Roy, like Jacques Nissen to carry some more of the load. This DC team, they know they can compete, but you can see that they're still adjusting to a new group of personnel and under a new coach in Xavier Maxtad, who's taken over for Lauren Boyle.
The Breeze have a bunch of new guys. I think half of the players on their 20-man roster today did not play in the playoff game against New York when they won by 11 last year down in D.C. Christian Boxley is back. He's been in the conversation among the best players in the league and in the world, and by his standards, I feel like he's been relatively quiet the first 2 weeks of the season. What do you want to see from Boxley today if the DC Breeze are going to pull off this road win?
Well, Boxley made his name in the DC system of old, which functioned on a lot of highly technical underneath play where he's at his best. He's incredibly quick. He's really dynamic with the disc. He makes decisions really quickly. This year, they're opening up the field a little bit more, and I think you're perhaps seeing him make some adjustments in his game. How do I fit into this new picture for DC? When before, he was kind of the spark for them. He kind of lit the flame. Now he has a little bit of a different role, and he's still figuring that out, I think, a little bit.
Well, Sean Mott, the new piece that they brought in from Philadelphia, 4th all-time in UFA history in assists. He's finding his footing, 6 throwaways in the first couple of games. I think he's a very important guy for this team. Let's transition over to the New York Empire, the 3-time champs that went undefeated in 2019, 2022, and 2023. But just 15-11, including the playoffs the last 2 years, 0-2 in the playoffs, most importantly. And last week we saw the new-look New York Empire with Alex Atkins to Ben Yot being a huge part of the offense.
Well, I don't know if we quite say we've seen the new-look New York Empire yet, because there's a Don Desmarais guy who we still have to wait to see. He will not be making his debut today, but hoping to see him later in the season. I think he's going to change the texture of this team a little bit. But they are already integrating some of these new players. Alex Atkins, a really tremendous performance, really looks like he has great chemistry with Ben Yot. So you got these 2 huge pieces that defenses have to try and answer. How are we going to stop these 2 big guys from getting their games in? And opening up the field for them is, you have Jacob Cowan also figuring in as somebody who's cutting off of those other players. And so you're seeing this offense look really fluid for how many new pieces they're bringing in as well.
Keith, one thing I'm going to have my eye on today, and it's something that Anthony Nunez and Matt Stevens, the Empire coaches, talked about in our pregame chat. They had some 50-50 balls last week that they made the plays on deep. Ben Yot in the deep space, Matt Labar, Jacob Cowan making plays in the air going deep. The coaches said that just because those worked against Toronto, those might not work against DC's defense and what Charlie McCutcheon did. So I'm wondering if we'll see the Empire become a little bit more stingy with the disc. Now, their O-line only had 1 turnover last week, and it was a drop in the end zone from Jacob Cowan. So they basically played a near-perfect game. And yet, I still think there are levels of possession preservation that this offense can raise up, and they're going to have to against DC's D.
I do think, though, that the deep game could be the defining aspect of this game. We're seeing DC start to open up the field. The past few seasons, they have been at the bottom of the barrel as far as the number of hucks they're attempting per game. So last year they were below 5 a game. That was the lowest in the league. Now they're up, putting up 11 hucks a game or somewhere around that number, and we're seeing the same sort of aggressive deep game from New York. So both these teams are going to try and stop that plan A and see if they can force the teams into an adjustment, force longer possessions. So I think that that's going to be a defining characteristic, and I imagine that New York's going to want to assert that position early and show, hey, if you're not going to be able to stop Ben Yot going deep, then we're just going to do this to you all game.
Well, and on the flip side, we chatted with Jacques Nissen on the sideline just a little while ago. He said New York's always really dialed in on our unders because they knew that we didn't really go deep that much. We'll see if they do that today, and we'll see if the Breeze can open up that deep game with shots to guys like Christian Boxley. winning battles going long. All right, that'll do it for our FNF Game Day. Top of the hour, opening pull, the DC Breeze and the New York Empire, a special Mother's Day edition of Friday Night Frisbee.
and New York are two cities with contrasting ultimate styles, but both always bring the belief that they will be the best. And year after year in the UFA, the DC Breeze and New York Empire push each other to new limits and showcase exactly how a rivalry can be both respectful and unbelievably intense. Today, the Breeze and Empire meet again with the Frisbee world watching in this special Sunday showcase of Friday Night Frisbee. Coming up next. Every great team needs a formidable foe, and during the New York Empire dynasty in which they won 3 championships, there was no fiercer foil than the DC Breeze. In the last couple of years, the rivalry flipped. The Breeze have won 4 out of the last 5 meetings, including a postseason win that knocked the Empire out of the postseason dance a year ago. They reunite today. Happy Mother's Day from the stadium at Memorial Field. The Breeze are 1-1. The Empire are 1-0. We launch this Sunday afternoon in Week 3 of the Ultimate Frisbee Association, a special Mother's Day matinee edition of Friday Night Frisbee. Alongside Keith Raynor, I'm Evan Lepler. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. And this is a rivalry, Keith, that I don't think is one of the best in the league. I think it is above all the rest because of their proximity, the level of talent, and just there were so many years where a lot of people thought these were the 2 best teams, not just in the East, but in the entire league, and only one could go to the Final Four.
DC was long thought the foil to this New York team, and of course the texture of the league has changed a lot, especially in the East with the rise of Boston. But you know, DC dispatching New York in the playoffs last year, they lose to Boston. DC's made a habit out of losing to the team that goes on to win the title.
Well, last year, right here at the stadium at Memorial Field, it was a double overtime controversial classic. Jack Williams beating the buzzer, or did he? Assistant coach Thomas Owen certainly didn't think he did. And in double OT, a Breeze turnover, a crazy Jacob Cowan catch, and then John Randolph's fluttering forehand into the end zone. Of course, a few weeks later, everybody thought, oh, we're going to get another instant classic. Not so much. The Breeze turned the tables and dominated New York in the dance.
The biggest game of the year, and given that the Breeze won the other 2 games and the one that they lost was in a double overtime controversial final, I mean, I think you look at DC as really dominating this matchup last year, not what New York has been accustomed to. They were long the dominant team in the league over everybody, including DC, their toughest challenger, but DC got the better of them last year. They're going to hope to repeat that this season.
Today, the 38th all-time meeting. That matches Chicago and Minnesota for the most played rivalry in the league. And Xavier Maxted has been a player in this rivalry. He's been an assistant coach in this rivalry. He's the head coach of the Breeze, coaching his 3rd game of the season. And DC has 10 players in their active 20 today that did not play in the postseason game last year. So he's got a pretty new team that he's leading into battle.
New roster, new coach, and something of a new identity. If you ever watched Xavier Maxted play, you know he likes to sling it. And he has Sean Mott added to this team, and they're taking a lot more shots than what we've seen in the past. But, you know, the DC, they may be feeling a little bit like Bad Bunny out here. You know, they're missing, wishing they had taken more photos with the rest of this team because they're missing a lot of these guys, but they have to move past that and look forward to the young future they have, the new talent they brought in, and figure out how are they going to overcome this tough challenge they're in. They could be 1-2 if they don't win this game. In the East, that's a really difficult spot to be in.
I think if it were up to A.J. Merriman, he might play every single point in the game today. We know that's not realistic, but he has played 9 more points in the first 2 games than any of his other teammates. He's been a staple on D through the years, but now they want him on offense too.
It's not realistic, but it's not impossible either. And he's such a high-impact player. You can understand why they want him on the field so much. Was certainly a big part of their success against Montreal, and when they won that close matchup a couple weeks prior. He's a guy who opens up the field with his throws. He's got great vision. He's incredibly thoughtful about the game, on top of being a big, strong athlete who can dominate in the deep space on either side of the disc. He's really someone they're relying on now that they've lost Roe McDonald, who's the franchise leader in basically everything. Tyler Monroe, they're missing guys due to injury with Cole Jurek and Aiden Downey out, so they're really having to put a lot of weight on A.J. Merriman's shoulders.
And on the other side, New York's Ben Yot, with even more talent around him on offense. No, the Empire still do not have Don Desmarais. They're hopeful to have him debut this Saturday against Colorado. But every time you think Yacht may be getting old or losing a step, he proves to you that he's still putting in the work, and he still wins every battle, it seems, in the air.
Yeah, I'm not going to go out and say that Ben Yacht is the LeBron James of the UFA, but it does seem like he's getting the better of Father Time every time that you watch him. Just continues to be the dominant force downfield, the preeminent threat in the league in the deep space. And now that he's got Alex Atkins putting it up for him, it's getting even easier for number 4 to start blowing kisses like he likes to do after every score. They're going to need an answer for him. Can it be Charlie McCutcheon, who got Malik Ojai-Sama in a couple of their matchups against Montreal? I don't know if we'll get to see those two go head-to-head, but DC's going to need to come up with some answers in deep space.
Well, mothers get in free today, and I hope that little sweet kid didn't have to pay for a ticket either, because it is a beautiful day for Frisbee. Picture-perfect conditions, a very slight breeze, although DC hopes it's a stronger breeze as the day goes along. It's DC in New York for the 38th time. Our Friday Night Frisbee Sunday Showcase opening pull is coming up next. The Ultimate Frisbee Association is proud to partner with Victory. Elevate your game with Victory insoles and recovery footwear at VKTRY.com. Delta THC Seltzers. No calories, no sugar, no alcohol. Catch life's moments at DrinkDelta.com. Two Town Cider House, bringing the best craft cider for everyday celebration. Find yours at TwoTownCiderHouse.com. And Disc-It. Round Net meets Ultimate. Disc-It is the must-have portable game for every UFA fan. Get yours at DiscItGame.com. Three more games in the Ultimate Frisbee Association on this Sunday. And a triple header of sorts starts with the Breeze and the Empire from the stadium at Memorial Field in Mount Vernon, New York. It certainly looks like the DC Breeze are going to start on offense. Let's talk about keys to the game. DC has shifted its offensive style a bit, Keith. Keys to the game presented by Victory. What do you got?
Well, for DC, their offense is going to need to avoid some of the traps from this switching, complex Empire defense. They took advantage of Toronto frequently with poaches and changes of defensive positioning. DC is going to need to be heads up so that they don't end up giving up free fast breaks to this New York D-line. Meanwhile, the New York offense, they want to control the size of the field. Really, they want to force this DC team to play small ball. We've seen that this new style of breeze attack wants to open up the field a little bit more. Meanwhile, they need to keep the field open, wide for them, be able to take advantage of their size, their athleticism, their own deep game. So New York going to try and control the space of the field, make it big when they're on offense, make it small when you're on defense.
Empire victorious by 9, 24-15 against the Toronto Rush. That was on Friday Night Frisbee 9 days ago. We appreciate you working with us. We know it's not Friday. We know it's not night. But it's still Frisbee. And it's still free. And it's still going to be fun. Let's meet the starting lineup for the New York Empire.
Nicholas Whitlock, University of Auckland.
Sam Jonas, Northwestern University.
Axel Agami-Contreras, Ohio State University.
Drew Schneiderl, Quinnipiac University.
John Randolph, Brown University.
Antoine Davis, Virginia Tech.
Marquez Brownlee, Stevens Tech.
The New York D-line that'll take the field first. Marquez Brownlee, who has thrown more pulls than anybody else in the history of the Ultimate Frisbee Association, is not going to launch the opening pull, Keith. That honor is going to go to the new Kiwi in New York, Nick Whitlock, who the Empire have real high expectations that by the end of the year, he could be in the conversation as one of the top defensive impact difference makers in the league.
Yeah, potential rookie of the year. Probably I would say the first player to come out of University of Auckland. Is that what he said? For the UFA. So an exciting addition. Each team with some key international additions as we get underway.
Nick Whitlock lets it fly, and we are underway here on this Mother's Day Sunday. Jacques Nissen, Andrew Roy, A.J. Merriman, Christian Boxley, Sean Mott, Graham Turner, and Gabe Dowd are the starting 7 on offense for the Breeze.
Christian Boxley being covered by John Randolph, although this New York defense doesn't always stay matched up 1-to-1. You'll see a lot of changes.
A.J. Merriman forced to make the sliding grab. He launches slightly underthrown, but Graham Turner makes the play. Resets to Boxley and a quick dish to Gabe Dowd, who caught 4 goals last Sunday against Montreal in his UFA debut. Doesn't take him long to strike here today. 1-0 Breeze.
Last week it was Dowd. This week, how about the first touch of his UFA career for Graham Turner? Gets a catch there, and Dowd ends up, and already we're seeing the new names, the youngsters coming out to play for DC. We talked in the Open about some of the players that they're missing from this roster. They're asking other people to step up, and Dowd plays his college ball at Michigan, coming up with a goal.
Graham Turner with a deep catch on that point as well. This is just his 3rd ever UFA game. His first of this season. He played 2 games last year against Philly and Toronto. At New York, under the bright lights, is a different challenge. Luke Rafis launches the pull for the DCD line. New York on offense with Alex Atkins catching the pull and centering to Solomon Rushmeyer-Bailey. Out there with Jack Williams, Ben Yott, Oliver Chartok, Jacob Cowan, and Matt Labar. Atkins, a turnover-free debut in a New York jersey. He went 27 for 27. He went 3 for 3 on Hucks.
5 assists and a pair of goals.
Downfield, it's a pick. Some early stagnation from New York's offense, and now they got to retreat 10 yards, and Jack Williams standing in his own end zone.
You can see the cutters getting a little disconnected from the handlers. Sometimes you can use that to your advantage if your handlers can get active, but here New York looking to connect those players again.
Kevin Healy is on Cowan there, and Matt Labar pressured by McCutcheon. Charlie McCutcheon, a bunch of pivotal blocks last week against Malika J-Sama in the come-from-behind win over Montreal. Royale are a scary team, and yet they're 0-3 after another narrow 1-goal loss yesterday in Toronto. Go for their first win this afternoon. About an hour from now, they'll get going in Pittsburgh in an interdivisional game.
How about this matchup with the New York big men, Yacht and Atkins?
Oh, floats in the air just a little bit. And DC's block, courtesy of Raymond Liu, who's a little slow to get up. Skying over Rushmeyer Bailey.
Yacht a bit casual on that backhand, lets it pop up into the air. And Liu going big for that. Montreal was his first UFA game.
Xavier Maxted was singing his praises, so we probably don't win that without him. We're really counting on him, so this would be a big loss if they're without the former Michigan star, help lead the Magnum squad to the semis in 21 Nationals. Oh, that was very low, and the referee, James Kalinsky, says it's down. So DC's first break chance ends in a single throw. On the injury sub, Christian Boxley came into the game for the Breeze.
As did A.J. Merriman on the mark now.
Yeah, I think it was A.J. I think Boxley came on and then went off for A.J. John Randolph came on for New York. And John Randolph scores the goal on the first Empire O-point. One turn per side, and we're tied 1-1 nearly 3 minutes in.
Tough turn for DC, a team who's typically known for their incredible ability to maintain possession of the disc. And an early giveaway in front of their own end zone. Just not what you want to see from the D-line. You don't know how many chances you're going to get. You mentioned New York against Toronto had just a single offensive turnover. Well, they've matched that total already, but you just don't know how many opportunities like this DC defense is going to be able to generate.
Matt Labar, who had a career-high 6 assists in the game last week against Toronto, picks up his first assist of the day here early. Andrew Roy will catch the pull this time and wanted to send it to Jacques Nissen, but great defense from the Empire getting downfield. It was Luke Barry that stopped the initial centering pass, and now the Breeze working out of their own end zone.
Almost an entirely new defensive unit out for the Empire. No John Randolph, no Marquez Brownlee.
Gabe Dowd back for Andrew Roy. Merriman keeps it moving for Nissen. Former college champ at Brown University. Fun couple weeks ahead as A.J. Merriman unwinds the backhand and he hits Gabe Dowd in stride. Ruled just shy of the end zone, though. More work to do. And an 18-yard reset and a swing to Boxley.
Love the way Merriman got that off the line so quickly.
And DC turns it over. It looked like Dowd was in. Instead, Boxley throws it away. And here comes the first New York break chance of the day. Big swing, hustled down. Bobby Elston getting a touch. Gavin May getting a touch. First appearance of the season for both of those guys. Sam Jonas over to Benjamin Simmons. Good movement to Luke Barry. He set the tone for this point by hustling down to stop the early flow on the pull. Anthony Nunez, New York's head coach, co-head coach, along with Matt Stevens, said we need our D-line conversion rate to be better today than it was against Toronto last week. And they'll get a free 10 yards on the bump of the mark.
And one of the reasons that he was highlighting that, I think, was to emphasize how important Gavin May could be to this defense. Saw him get a couple of touches early, and we'll see if he gets back involved for this New York team. But
crossfield shot, but a travel call before it. Tushnadigal hauls it in, but a travel call is going to bring it back. James Kalinsky, Noah Polsky, Jason Dumont, Matt Lemieux. Four-man officiating crew today, assigned by the UFA. DC set to double team, and Barry sells out to get rid of it. And now New York, who looked like they were going to score, back on their own side of the field. And there's the turnover for the Empire. Merriman quickly picks up, and then Roy with a good gainer to Nissen. Boxley running with him. New York too tired to play defense now. And it felt like it should have happened a couple of minutes ago, Keith, but Gabe Dowd is in the end zone again for the Breeze.
Oh, what are we witnessing the birth of a new scoring superstar in Gabe Dowd? Back, he's been getting it free in this space so far as a cutter. But going back to that turnover, Gavin May threw two of those throws really wide, and the first one Elston just able to track down and keep in bounds. Second time, not so lucky. So May maybe still trying to figure out exactly how to use the width of the field for this New York team. This is his fourth season in the league, but he spent his first two with Oakland. But this is his first game of this season for New York. And the Cal alum struggled a little bit perhaps to navigate the dimensions of this unique UFA field.
Ben Greenberg, William and Mary product, rips the pull, fielded by Jack Williams. Jack's his 7th season in New York. He's been a part of all 3 Empire championships. Would have been 4 straight championships if he wasn't beaten by his old team in 2021 down in D.C. when the Flyers upset the Breeze on their way to championship weekend, came from behind to beat Chicago in overtime in the semis, and then dethroned New York in the final. Benyat in the deep space. Body for body. There's contact. It's juggled. It's ruled incomplete.
Evan, going back to your point about losing to that Raleigh team, this DC squad has lost to the future champion for 4 straight seasons in the postseason. Some of that speaks to just the strength of the East.
And some of that is just how close they have been to being the best without actually getting there. Oh, Alex Atkins with something to say after the block on the mark, denying Joshua Leitner.
And there's a full dose of what you get with Alex Atkins.
Atkins fouled by DC's Wiebe Vandenbrink. They're going to count the goal? No, they're going to call it on Atkins. It's a pick on Atkins, not a foul on Vandenbrink, who they say was just chasing after his man. And then Atkins throws it to nobody.
Jack Williams giving a hard jab, and you got to know that Jack Williams likes to dance a little bit. Atkins not prepared for it, got faked out by his own receiver.
What a quirky start to this game, Keith. 8 minutes in. A chance for DC to break again. And how about that from Jack Williams, getting the disc back for New York.
And Isaac Lee has we've seen a stare down from the umpire, and then Jack Williams a little pat and say, good luck next time, young fella.
This point over 2.5 minutes old. Atkins trying to squeeze it through to LeBar. Pass interference is the call against DC's Michael Wagner. Wagner had 3 blocks against New York in the regular season game last year in DC that the Breeze won by 8. And a little coin slot blade to finish the point. LeBar to Alex Davis. A lot to unpack in our 4th point of the game.
Yeah, we're 4 points and we're 8 turnovers deep. Is that what you expected from the Empire and the Breeze?
Not especially with the conditions being as pristine as they are.
No, the offenses just look a little bit out of sync, and I actually think that probably has to do with defenses disrupting the rhythm of these two teams. The Empire are a team that can thrive when they're getting quick strikes. That's one of their areas of success. Against Toronto, they had 6 goals, 6 different holds that occurred in under 35 seconds. DC is keeping those possessions off the board so far and making this a bit of a slog.
we got a delay of game here. It's against New York. They didn't get the pull off quickly enough. So they will re-pull from 10 yards further back. Third member of our broadcast crew today down on the sideline is Dan Hilton, who covers the Empire all season long. Dan, must be a pretty nice afternoon to be on the sideline. How close are the conditions to perfect down there?
Well, I'll tell you, for starters, it's a bit windier than you expect. And I hear you guys talking on the broadcast how chippy it is. I promise you, Evan and Keith, it is chippier than you think. The chippiness really started in that prior, we'll say, I guess it was a DC 0 point, and it was Luke Barry and A.J. Merriman, where things started to get a little chippy, and it has continued, obviously, through that last point, the things that you guys were talking about, but even the two benches, the sidelines. However, we expected this game intensity-wise to begin. It's been that and more. But, again, also, yes, the conditions weather-wise are pristine, but there's a bit more of a swirling wind than you would expect, and a lot of that was that yacht turnover we saw a few points ago. The wind picked up right before he released it, and that floater for Saul then led to Lou, who, by the way, was just dealing with a bit of an ankle injury, but he is good to return.
All right, Dan, really appreciate the update. Breeze looking for a clean hold. They held without a turn on their first point. Ever since then, we've had some labyrinthine sequences. This is smooth sailing, though, for the Breeze. Nissen to Turner. 3-2, DC.
For all of our talk about the deep game, these teams have been content to work the width of the field. Finally get a Sean Mott touch in there, and all it is a flip for a little reset. But he'll happily take that if it's going to grease the wheels for a quick score for the Breeze. The Star is struggling a little bit with maintain possession. She got 6 turnovers, something you'll accept with a guy who gains as many throwing yards as Sean Mott does. But they're happy to figure in as a cog in the machine for DC.
Ashok Nissen, if there's anybody he's played with in the past that reminds him of Mott. Because I asked that question thinking Mott has kind of a unique style. And he said, well, maybe Rowan a little bit, but Rowan's far more unpredictable than Mott. Mott, a lefty, crafty thrower. Certainly a ton of experience, to over a decade with Philly. Oliver Chartok been really sharp in the early stages of the season for New York. Same thing for Jacob Cowan, who came on strong down the stretch last year. Had that superhero catch late against DC that helped them win that miraculous game in double overtime here in Mount Vernon.
We've got the D3 college championships coming up next week, and Jacob Cowan, alum of what we call the People's Division out of Grinnell.
New York just ruled out of bounds on that catch, I believe.
And right in front of the DC bench. You think some of those DC guys didn't have something to say to LeBar about that?
Quick timeout taken by DC. And they will have the disc with just over a minute to play in the first quarter. LeBar tried to toe the line, but they ruled that he was out.
Right now what I'm seeing is the DC D-line huddling up. Note that Ray Lou back on the field for them, but are you surprised not to see a potential sub for the offense here? This point in the game, got about 1:05 left in the first quarter. In what has been a back and forth
you know what?
affair.
It was just a New York timeout.
Okay.
They called him in. I apologize. It's a ways over there. So New York keeps the disc. LeBar over to Rushmeyer-Bailey. That makes sense why the DC D-line is still out there. Rushmeyer-Bailey to a leaping Atkins. They could call that a foul as well. They will. So New York has the goal, and on the and one, they will pull 10 yards further forward on the ensuing pull with 51 seconds left in the quarter.
I knew I could trust you, Evan, to know about all the latest in UFA rules, a newly adapted rule, this and one, as you like to call it. I think they should write and one into the book. I think that should be an official term. Previously, basically you could get a free foul in here and suffer no consequences because the point was over, so who cares? But now there's an additional penalty to be enforced on the following possession.
If they're going to write the and one part of it into the books, and the referees need to be like basketball refs and be the very enthusiastic and one.
Are you sure you want to encourage UFA referees to become the showmen that the NBA has?
You know what? If it makes it easier for us to know the calls, I am okay having a Ted Valentine or Scott Foster or Bill Kennedy in the UFA. All right, end of quarter situations always loom so large. For years, DC struggled in these situations in part because they haven't been the tallest of teams, especially going against the New York squad with Yacht and Brownlee and for years Babbitt. Not really getting in position for a shorter field shot. Merriman resets to Mott with 20 seconds.
On the field, you can hear players calling out the time so that everybody knows exactly what the situation is, but DC has not advanced basically at all at this point.
They've maintained possession, but that is it. And Randolph deflects it. Boxley keeps it alive. A lot of contact, and finally a whistle.
What a huge save for Boxley. They may not score here, but he might have just saved a New York goal.
Clock stopped with 4 seconds. We'll see if they add any time. 10 free yards helps the Breeze at least get into position for a last-second deep shot.
Yeah, you get to rearrange your whole cutting setup to give you a shot at having a person in the end zone.
Also, the clock doesn't restart until the release of this next throw. It's a blade in the middle of the field. Nissen with 2. Mott needs to fire. He gets it off. Looking for Wodach. He's got him. DC at the buzzer. Mott to Wodach. And the Breeze win the quarter.
What a stunning 5 seconds that was, Evan. Did you predict to see 3 different passes and then finding an uncovered Wodach at the back of the end zone? I don't know how you blow that if you're New York. There's one DC player standing at the back of the end zone with 5 seconds left. How does he go uncovered?
Keith, I think more and more these last couple of years, well, first of all, Boxley catching this deflection saved the Breeze, but the way that throwers in the league are comfortable, I mean, Nissen threw it with 2 seconds left, but a guy like Mott with so much experience puts it exactly where it needed to be. And the Empire are officially on upset alert. 4-3 DC. Done with 1. 4-3 DC after 1 quarter of play here in New York. Every game in the East means so much, especially the close games and who can come through in the clutch down the stretch. We saw DC do it against Montreal last Sunday. We saw Toronto do it against Montreal yesterday. And the Royale, despite a lot of positive things you could say about their team, they're in the cellar at 0-3. Now, they haven't had a home game yet. They'll play 6 of their last 8 at home. They're at Pittsburgh this afternoon. So I still think there's time for the Royale, but there's not much margin for error left, dropping the 2 tight games they have in the past 7 days.
They're setting themselves up to need some upsets along the way.
What about the South Division? The Atlanta Hustle with 2 losses already by a total of 2 goals. Double overtime against Austin, and last night in San Diego, Keith.
Yeah, they spent a lot of time on the road already, but given that they have a lot of matchups with Carolina, they could certainly turn over the standings in the South.
Hustle also have 6 of their final 8 games of the season at home. And among their final 8 games, 4 of them are against the Flyers. And then they end their season Week 13 of the year against these DC Breeze. First time in UFA history that every team in the league has at least one interdivisional game. Saw the first interdivisional game of the season yesterday, Carolina walloping Philly 31-14 in the Flyers home opener. They're 3-0. Been impressed with DC's defensive pressure so far. New York's not getting exactly what they want super easily, more often than not. But in the end zone, even that was a little hairy. Alex Davis, though, the speed to run it down. And we're tied just over a minute into the second.
The unoverthrowable Alex Davis. It's easy to forget that he's a new addition to this New York team when you think about Alex Atkins and Don Desmarais sucking up the oxygen. But a big add for New York to be bringing into this roster. And, you know, that we're accustomed to seeing big names join New York. We've done it year in and year out, it feels like. But don't sleep on what AD brings to this team. 53 goals and about 2,800 receiving yards back in the 2022 season, which was really his last full season playing with Carolina. His 5th season here in the league.
Carolina connection there. Wilmington to Chapel Hill for the Empire score. Of course, Wilmington, I think, was in the game to go to make nationals this year, but they were knocked off by a Maryland team where 3 of these DC guys, including Miles Grovick, Isaac Lee, they're getting ready for D1 Nationals 2 weeks, and after a great pull, DC turns it over, and in seconds, the Empire convert. Nick Whitlock in the end zone to put New York in front.
A second turfed throw for DC in their defending section of the field. And this one is punished instantaneously by New York. And just poor pull coverage by DC. And Boxley not really ready to flip the switch to play defense there. Instead, frustrated. And I don't know that there's much he could have done, but you saw 3 black jerseys sprinting to the disc, and DC caught unawares to give up that quick break.
And a nice alert play by Axel Agami-Contreras, picking up the disc super quickly, taking it to the line that he knew he needed to, and then dishing to Nick Whitlock before anybody else was ready.
This can't be an exciting sight for a thrower to walk into a double team from Nick Whitlock and Marquez Brownlee.
And it's a travel on the sideline, dragging that pivot foot on the release. Jacques Nissen will retreat 10 yards and then see the double team again.
Nissen, who threw the turnover on the prior possession, running into a bad string here.
Blade finds Boxley in the middle. Wide open space. Miles Grovick out there on offense. Mott. Oh, it's dropped by Merriman. The footsteps from Whitlock were right there in his pocket.
AJ just looking ahead before fully securing the catch. It's a classic error. It's happened to all of us.
Randolph had Antoine Davis going deep on Andrew Roy. I'd like that matchup for New York, but the Empire being patient.
Great opportunity for the Empire defense to tire out some of these DC O-line guys.
Axel Agambi-Contreras up the line for John Randolph. Now he'll let it rip. Drew Schnaudagel chased by Andrew Roy. That's no contest. Back-to-back breaks for the Empire. 3 straight to start the second quarter for New York.
A rough start to this game for New York, but they have come out in this second quarter firing, and they have really put DC on their heels. You see Merriman's head turn up as he starts to look downfield thinking he's got the catch already completed, slips away, and then Randolph power position. You can't let him get into that spot.
Keith, one thing that always amazes me, I mean, we know John Randolph is a special player. He came up as an O-line handler. He could touch the disc every other and lead his team to victory. But when he's on the D-line, he doesn't get a chance to touch the disc that much. And then in rhythm, he just lets that huck fly, and it's absolutely picture perfect.
He's always ready. I mean, he's one of the first players that'll cross over to play offense for them. He can do it all, and he's always prepared to go out there and put it out there for seed.
Important possession now for DC, and Merriman wants it all. Grovic battling with Kai Schniedergers. Gavin May came to help, and it's incomplete. And another break chance upcoming for the Empire.
Everything but the catch there by Grovic.
And Merriman grabs the floaty reset looking for Randolph. And then throws the goal. DC able to punch it in. A dirty hold. It's the third goal for Gabe Dowd.
And another gift given by Gavin May.
It really was.
So both teams with some errors that have turned into quick scores for the other side, but for New York, they've been giving away holes rather than breaks.
Let's check in with Dan down on the sidelines. Dan, what are you seeing?
Well, oftentimes Ben Yat on the offense doesn't get enough credit as a thinker. We talk about him so much for his physical gifts, but when we saw that first Empire break where the pull went in the corner, that was a Ben Yat idea. That was exactly what Ben told his teammate to do, where he told him to put it, and it worked out. The goal there was to make sure that Boxley was not going to receive the first or second pass, force him to the wings on the first one. It led to the first break, then the second break, taking it on the sideline there with the double team. It was a very similar idea. The conversation on the DC Bree sideline is very much the opposite, is that we know that they're trying to deny Boxley in the middle of the field, so let's get him into the middle of the field, find a way for him to peel off of somebody else and get that disc. And that's a chess match going on right now, and it always has a lot to do with the beginning of these points. And for the Empire polls, again, Ben Yat doesn't often get enough credit for the leadership he provides his teammates.
Great stuff, Dan. That's excellent reporting from Dan Hilton. The details that casual viewers may not normally think about. Oliver Chartok in rhythm. Looking for a reset. And Rushmeyer-Bailey struggled to get free, but Williams the intermediary, and then Rushmeyer-Bailey the goal to the aforementioned Yacht, who blows a kiss to his wife and child who are in the stands.
Yeah, our little Mother's Day love here. Shout out, my own mom, I believe, is watching the broadcast. Hi, Mom. Happy Mother's Day. And a bit of a moment of confusion, I think, for DC there. Almost their defense was so successful that they weren't even sure what to do afterwards. They buck up the reset a little bit and then get confused, blow the switch, and Rushmeyer-Bailey gets a touch without a mark.
Solomon Rushmeyer-Bailey in his career has way more hockey assists than regular assists, but he's got 2 regular assists so far today.
For a second, I almost flagged it. He almost hucked it, which it should be a stat for him only. Almost hucks.
Boxley gets an early touch this point. Wodatch to Dowd. Immediately looking reset for Roy.
Empire almost gave up a freebie to start this possession. Sean Mott uncovered deep, but they figured it out in time to stop the throw from going up.
Here's Mott. He's got AJ going. Merriman making the adjustment with Whitlock there, and it's Whitlock ripping it down.
Mott just floating that up there, and you just can't afford to be that casual with that throw.
Antoine Davis floats it forward for Axel Agami Contreras, who returns the favor, and Antoine is all alone in the end zone. If anything, it makes you appreciate the John Randolph huck going in that direction even more, because Mott skymails his, and Nick Whitlock takes care of the floaty. And then New York off to the races.
And there's just no reason in that situation to lean back on that throw the way Mott does. Merriman was open. He had the separation, but you got to put pace on it. Whitlock's a big guy. Even though Merriman's great in the air, there's no reason to make it that difficult for him. And then the defense has not been able to find that resistance going the other direction. That's another quick score for the Empire D-line after generating a turnover.
And another assist for Axel Agami Contreras. First goal of the day for Antoine, but the third goal for A. Davis. Alex Davis has two. No relation. Miles Grovic gets it over to Mott. And then Mott shooting it. Grovic in stride. That's a missile from Mott. Right on the money.
And you can see the relief on Mott to be like, okay, look, I still got it, don't worry. I'm sure that the veteran presence, he was never actually shaken. But hits Grovic, who's crossing over. We've seen him play a couple of O points here. And somebody who I think this DC team is looking to take on a much larger role this season. With the players that they're missing, with the losses of Thomas Edmonds and Ro McDonald, Miles Grovic is in a great position to take on a bigger role. He is a fantastic athlete, but he has grown his game playing with Maryland, where he's one of the stars of their team. He's gotten to build out more well-rounded skill set. And so I think they see him as somebody who can be a weapon on both sides and can be a little more of a thrower than he has been in years past.
Maryland's Callahan nominee. Keith, do you watch every single Callahan video that comes out?
I can't say everyone anymore. There's simply too many, and I have too little time. But I got a lot of them in, including Miles's, which is a strong effort.
Yes, it is. D3 Nationals next weekend in Wisconsin. D1 Nationals 2 weeks from now, and New York turns it over. Ray Lou, who's had success at Nationals in the past. And what do we got? A timeout right before the turn. Maxstad comes through in the clutch on the sidelines. Chartok in disbelief. AJ's like, thank you for holding that for me. I'll take it from here.
It's hard to get a full possessions value out of a timeout, but Maxstad, I don't know how he pulled the trigger. Was that one in the air? Are we sure that he got that off? Because that was a poor decision on the throw, and Chartok able to take it away. Here's the initial interception.
Easy D for the Dutch import, Wiebe Vandenbrink.
And the other takeaway that wasn't. Now it'll be DC's disc with their offense coming in a critical moment. New York has really controlled this second quarter. This DC offense can come out with a chance to finish off their D-line's work and get them a break.
DC has had a lot of chances, but they do not have a single break yet. Boxley working with Grovic in the backfield. Stall count rising. Boxley gets free.
Such a quick first step.
Wodach. Oh, deflected, but caught anyway by Mott. Schnaudigl got a tick on it. And it's Merriman in the end zone to get the Breeze back within one.
Huge score for DC, Evan. They were able to take the win in the first quarter, but that won't win you a game. And coming up with a big goal to bring it back within one.
Watch this disc. Schnottigl did not get enough. Mott maintains the concentration. And then looking up the line. Merriman in the end zone with his first goal of the game.
Yeah, I think if Sean Mott throws 3 consecutive backhand fakes, he wants you to go for the around forehand.
Third assist for Mott.
I believe that should put him back into third all-time. I think he and Travis Dunn from San Diego switch pretty much every other game.
Yeah, you're right. They've been trading that 3 spot back and forth behind Pavlianis and Kevin Quinlan. And that's a nice shot. We knew that Kai Schniedergers would play some offense for New York today. And that was a confident throw up the line to Jacob Cowan. Strong response from the Empire.
I mentioned earlier that the Empire with 6 holds of 35 seconds or less against Toronto. I think that's something to watch, is how many of those can they generate. I think this is their first of this game, and it didn't even require a huck. Just able to punch it down the field. Those kind of quick scores are great for your offense. They keep everybody fresh. They fluster the other defense, force teams to feel the pressure to make adjustments. And when New York can generate those quick scores, it's just going to benefit their overall offensive game.
9-7 New York. 4:40 to play in this first half. Didn't see a signal that the pull was out, so it's ruled inbounds right by that front pylon. Mott wants it all again. He's got multiple cutters. Boxley can't make the play. Bobby Elson was the closest defender, but Boxley had it in his hand. Here's the 6th break chance for New York. They've got 3 breaks already. Randolph working with Brownlee in the backfield. Here's Elston. Continue for Simmons and Whitlock. And now the rest of the Empire charging deep. That'll be a travel.
So you got about 10 refs out there in white calling it.
Empire do have a timeout if they want to use it. That was a crafty throw from Whitlock. Listen to him on a podcast. He likes to experiment with all sorts of different types of throws. Randolph so steady. Easy assist there. First UFA goal for Luke Barry. 23-year-old out of James Madison, originally from Westfield, New Jersey. He's been trying out for the Empire for years, and he earned his spot here in 2026.
And we're seeing the DC offense get into a bit of a rut, and that's been something of the story of their season this year. I mean, this is typically a team we know for being one of the best in the league at having a high completion percentage. They traditionally are a team that's great at maintaining possession. This year, coming into this game, they're averaging 16 turnovers a game. So the offense has not been as fluid as we've seen in years past. Some of that you could chalk up to the missing pieces. Some of that you could probably chalk up to the adjustments. But at some point, they're going to need to dial it in on offense if they want to compete in a division as tough as the East.
That's 4 breaks now for New York. DC's D with only 1 in 4 chances. Under 3 minutes to play in the half. Nissen goes cross-field to a wide-open Wodach. Asked him before the game if he's considered officially changing his name to the veteran Jeff Wodach, because that's how he is so often referred. 39 years old, but he's still feeling good. He said he was playing pickup basketball yesterday, and that was just to warm up for today. Wodach in the end zone for DC. to bring the Breeze back within 2. Jeff Wodach, the longest tenured member of this DC team. He joined the squad in 2016, and he just caught his 212th UFA goal, his second of the day.
Yeah, if you played College Ultimate against me like Jeff Wodach did, then we know you're old. But you know, he probably didn't get a layup as easy as this one in any of his pickup yesterday. Blown switch by New York, and a player as sharp as Wodach not going to miss that opportunity.
So you were at American, and he was at Bucknell, and what happened when you squared off?
Well, obviously we won. America took the win at regionals. So shout out John Garrity wherever he may be.
Did Jeff have any help on that Bucknell team, or was he a one-man band?
Not any names you would know, but he was definitely their star. But they had some guys who could throw. They ran a lot of zone.
Jack Williams dishing back and forth with Alex Atkins.
Dominator set for the Empire.
It's a tough duo to stop. Kins and Jack playing together in the UFA for the first time this season. Atkins shooting it for Yacht to the back corner. Perfect.
It feels a little bit like Kins is starting to heat up a little bit. And
that is his first assist of the game.
Yeah, beautiful possession for him. Does a nice job getting this separation and then spots Yacht. Keeps it in bounds, but keeps it well out of the way of the defense. And these two are finding a nice relationship with one another.
Connected for 3 different scores last week. Although this one was more about the catch in triple coverage by Yacht on what I think was officially a 93-yard shot. Atkins developed the trust in Yacht quickly. And remember a couple years ago when Colorado played New York in Golden? And there was a lot of chirping between those two. But they are friends and teammates now, trying to bring out the best in each other.
Yeah, and bring the chirps to the other team.
That's right.
The Bash Brothers and the Mighty Ducks.
I actually thought about that on the way to the game last week. And
the Mighty Ducks?
Fulton Reed and Dean Portman. There's definitely a vibe. Boxley to the end zone. Absolutely wins the foot race against Gavin May.
Well, that's one way to get Christian Boxley going if they're denying him the middle of the field, is to set him deep.
Yeah, I think DC needs to do this more often.
Well, they haven't been able to generate a lot of great opportunities to throw deep in this game. They've struggled a bit to connect. Early on, they found Gabe Dowd a couple times, but it's been slow going since then. And I agree with you. I think this is something they need to attack, if not to complete it, to at least open up the field. And it turns out being really fast works in the middle of the field and in the deep space in equal measure.
Well, look, the mentality of the DC offense over the course of the last half-decade was partially instituted by Darryl Stanley and Lauren Boyle, the last two coaches, but also the players that they built around, like Johnny Malks and Rowan McDonald and Tyler Monroe. They were a patient, small ball, crafty, difficult to dispossess team, but that's something that New York started to take advantage of at times by really focusing on the unders and challenging them to go deep, which was not their comfort zone.
Yeah, in each of the past 2 seasons, DC was last in the league in hucks per game. They were second to last in the 2023 season. That's about 5 a game in each of those seasons. This year, they're shooting it over 11 times per game.
14 huck completions for the Breeze in the first 2 games. Alex Davis unable to pull that one in. Clock will stop, under a minute to go in the half. DC does have a timeout. Xavier Maxtad is standing right next to the official. And he should have called it sooner, but somehow the Breeze maintained possession as it floats over multiple New York defenders into the hands of Brandon Lamberty, who throws a potential would-be score to Micah Wagner, but the whistle came because Maxstat said enough.
So Maxstat has now saved a turnover and taken a score away with his 2 timeouts. He's really getting his money's worth.
Yes, he is.
But, you know, this will be the second time that we've seen DC with the end of quarter potential possession. And this throw just not well weighted in these conditions. You can see that edge pushing the disc towards the far sideline. And in this kind of air, it's going to take extra distance wide when you put it with that type of edge. So just not well controlled.
All right, 39 seconds. And DC certainly feels like they've been outplayed in this half. 4 breaks to 1. And yet, if they could get a break here, they could be within 1 at the half, receiving to start the third.
They are going to have to, however, come in on what I believe is the low sideline. What that means is it's the side of the field that the wind is going to push the disc towards. It means that when you throw from this sideline, it's harder to get the disc out towards the middle of the field because you're essentially throwing it upwind. They'll have to start on that low sideline, but they don't face a double team out of the stoppage.
No more timeouts for the Breeze. Pressure in the backfield, and Schnautigal called for the reach-in foul. Mott initiates. 35 seconds left. Clock starts on the throw. Plenty of time for the Breeze. That's a bold throw over the traffic, but it worked out. 20 seconds. Boxley keeping it moving quickly with Merriman to Grovic.
Wodach again sneaking to the back of the end zone.
10 seconds for DC. Mott to Merriman with 7 seconds left. DC not going away quite yet.
And they needed to rebalance after the start to this second quarter where they gave up that run to New York, and they've chipped away, and now they're back in position to start the second half with possession, tie the game up. Great offensive possession there for DC. Again, not a great starting position. Tough spot to be in, coming in on that low sideline out of a stop disc. I was surprised that New York was so willing to give DC back the middle of the field from that position, and DC takes advantage.
Well, Sean Mott beat the Breeze 2 times last year as a member of the Philadelphia Phoenix. Phoenix went 2-0 against DC, but still fell short of the playoffs. And now an important 7 seconds of defense here for the Breeze on Friday night with no live Friday Night Frisbee. The UFA YouTube channel re-aired the 2022 East Division Championship game when Ben Yott caught the game-winning buzzer beater on his 30th birthday to eliminate the Breeze and triumphantly send New York back to championship weekend. Will history repeat itself here? Jack Williams, Alex Atkins, Jacob Cowan, John Randolph, Nick Whitlock out there for height purposes, along with Ben Yott and Matt LeBar. DC's got all the big guys they have, but they're missing some. Miles Grovic staying patrolling the deep space. Grovic, Wodach, Merriman all out there as well. Atkins is wide open. He gets it off at the buzzer. Good if it goes, but this might soar out the back. No, it's in the end zone, and it's Nick Whitlock. Another skyscraping snag for the New Zealand import to double the New York lead at the half.
Tough situation for DC here after first taking advantage of a situation like this last quarter. Now they're on the receiving end, and Whitlock just had the best position. And I think this is a mistake on DC's part to over-focus on the receiving end of this throw and not focus enough on the throwing end of the throw. Giving Alex Atkins an uncontested opportunity they'll make you pay for that. Nick Whitlock with the score. DC up 2 going into the break.
An exciting first half with a couple of buzzer beaters. The Empire were down 4-3 at the end of one, but are up for 9 goals in the second, including the buzzer beater from Atkins to Whitlock. Let's talk about it with the co-head coach of the Empire, Anthony Nunez. Nunez, thanks for joining us. What's going through your mind as those two new Empire pieces, Alex Atkins and Nick Whitlock, collaborate for the buzzer beater to give you the 2-goal cushion at the half?
I mean, hey, thank God we got those guys, right? Nick has been getting better and better every point, every practice, and he's definitely playing big. It's, he skied somebody on defense, I can't remember who it was, in the end zone, and now he came out with that buzzer beater, and that's kind of how it's been working our practices too, is like we have our big guys who are just coming down with these things when we're practicing the buzzer beaters.
The run in the second quarter, you got started with a great pull that went all the way to the back cone. You forced a turnover in the DC end zone. How much of that was the plan to set up them in such a terrible position, and how do you execute that?
I mean, it's one of the reasons why Nick is in this lineup, right? Because his pulls have been right into the corners and has been making it a very awkward situation for them in the end zones and coming off of the plays. Most of our most of the DC turnovers are happening within the first half of their area for on the field. So we're trying to put them into awkward plans. We came up with some defensive schemes. It's working exactly how we wanted it to.
Nunez, what do you see from DC's defense? They created a little chaos and slowed your offense down at points in that first half.
Yeah, I mean, they're really good at junking up the areas and making it so that you're throwing into spaces that are maybe even double covered. So, that's what we're kind of seeing. We're going to try to figure out how we can open up some larger spaces to throw into and get some window throws.
All right, sounds like a plan. Really appreciate you joining us. We'll let you get to the locker room. Good luck in the second half.
Thank you.
Anthony Nunez, the co-head coach of New York in his 6th season with the Empire. A staple of New York home games is the halftime drum line and the halftime stats. 22 goals, 16 turns in the first half. Keith, New York, converting 2/3 of their break chances, and DC just 40%. That is basically the difference in the game.
D-line has had a couple of rough mistakes for DC. Quick turnovers, short-lived possessions. And while they are clicking at a decent percentage on the deep game, they are getting beaten by New York in that space. It's tough to contend with the likes of Atkins and Yacht, and then you get Nick Whitlock adding one to the tally. But I think DC is going to need to find a way to bring those numbers more in balance.
Well, we're midway through this Sunday afternoon edition of Friday Night Frisbee. Empire in front of the Breeze, 12-10 at the break. Busy week 3 in the Ultimate Frisbee Association continues here in New York City. One of 3 Sunday games are underway in Pittsburgh. The Thunderbirds, the final team in the league with their 2026 debut. They're tied 1-1 early in the first quarter. Friday night, Atlanta clobbered Vegas, but the Hustle unable to complete a 2-0 West Coast trip. San Diego gets the 16-15 win. That was one of 3 one-goal games yesterday. Toronto snuck past Montreal, and then Madison spoiled the hyped home opener for the new-look Indianapolis AlleyCats, Keith.
Yeah, we got some of the best teams in the league absolutely dominating their opponents, but these 3 one-goal games are all very important to their respective division standings. Toronto getting the better of Montreal, putting Montreal in the 3-0 hole that you mentioned. Madison, like you said, the last second, they punch in a late goal from their new addition, Eric Sostrom, to set up the win over Indy, get the game-winning block, and then on the other end, you get San Diego closing out Atlanta, coming back late in that one. It felt like both teams really had a chance to win it, but it's San Diego whose late game clock control, I think, really helped propel them to that victory and send Atlanta to 2-2.
Meanwhile, the West more and more looking perhaps like a 2-team division with Oakland and Salt Lake both winning by the same exact 26-16 score yesterday. Salt Lake struggled in Oakland on the second day of a back-to-back last week. They have 2 more regular season meetings, though, in that Shred Spiders rivalry, and they're both in Utah, the end of June and then mid-July.
Not often you see a team make the Shred look pedestrian, but Oakland was that good in their first matchup. And Oakland, I think, really announcing themselves as title contenders. And if they're not the favorite, they're perhaps the top challenger right now to the Boston Glory.
Friday Night Frisbee returns to Friday. 5 days from now in D.C., the Colorado Apex sitting at 1-2. It's potential that the D.C. Breeze could also be at 1-2 in a very early must-win can't-miss game on Friday night. The Apex then traveled to New York on Saturday. And then on Saturday, May 23rd, in the midst of all the college Frisbee that's also going on, Keith, you got New York, D.C. at 7 p.m. That's the game of the week, exclusive on WatchUFA.tv. Friday Night Frisbee in Week 5 is on that same Saturday night in Carolina. The Hustle and the Flyers will have, I believe, the second of their 4 regular season meetings. The Atlanta Hustle with a really daunting road ahead, already at 2-2. They'll have their home opener next Saturday against Carolina, and then the following Saturday they will host the they'll be in Carolina on Friday Night Frisbee on Saturday. We got Xavier Maxted on the headset. X, thanks for joining us. Competitive, close, exciting first half. The timeout calls that you made were particularly riveting. What's your take on the first couple of quarters today?
Yeah, I think it's good. I think we've come out hot and with a lot of energy, and yeah, we just got to step up the execution just a little bit.
I want to hear more about this timeout strategy. You've gotten in 2 high leverage calls. What is your intention when you're looking for the opportunity to use these timeouts?
Yeah, I mean, I think we want our players to get in a little bit of flow. As soon as that flow stops and it's just a high leverage moment, that's when we want to use our timeout, just before any chaos sets in.
Xavier, we've seen Miles Grovic move on to offense at times and make a positive impact. What is the balance of crossing over guys like AJ and Miles while also not burning them out so they still have the legs in the fourth?
Yeah, I mean, they're fantastic athletes. They're used to playing a lot for any other team that they're on, and so, yeah, we feel good putting them out as much as possible.
All right, what was the message at halftime to your guys right before you retook the field?
Yeah, keep up the energy and step up the execution just a little bit.
Appreciate you joining us. Best of luck in the second half, X. Thank you.
Sweet, thank you all.
Xavier Maxted grew up in the D.C. area, played 5 seasons in the UFA. Flyers, Thunderbirds, and the Breeze. And, you know, interestingly, Maxted was high school teammates with Antoine Davis in the D.C. area. And he was college teammates with Jack Williams at UNC Wilmington.
Yeah, for us who've been watching Jack for a long time, you can remember his early days as a fawn on the field, just a springy guy who ran and just, hey, run down there and go catch it. And then with Xavier Maxtad throwing a lot of those throws to Jack Williams, I'm sure he was very influential in Jack's initial development. And he talked about how fun it is to see, Jack, the player who Jack has gone on to become.
Maxtad mentioned that there's some old grainy video out there of Jack pivoting with the wrong foot when he was still learning the fundamentals. Well, some members of this DC Breeze will be competing at college nationals, including Grovick, Lee, and Blumenfeld. 3 members of the University of Maryland squad that knocked off Xavier and Jack's alma mater, UNC Wilmington, in the final game to go at Atlantic Coast Regionals. An event that I was proud to play in 4 times, Keith.
A dramatic one, too. Big game for them, and those 3 are our stars. And we haven't said Lev Blumenfeld yet, but he has been covering Ben Yacht in a lot of cases, so he's getting his reps in this game. Gabe Dowd also headed to nationals with Michigan from this DC team. So a couple weeks from now, these players will be playing in one of their biggest weekends of their Frisbee careers, the USA College Championships in Rockford, Illinois.
And the Empire are excited to get Ethan Lehman, who's currently at UMass, joining the Empire after the college season ends. So the UFA season is always kind of broken up into segments. The season always shifts after Memorial Day as we shift into June. Like moving day, the 3rd round of a golf tournament. Like June is moving month often in the UFA, where teams can get a jolt of college talent, reshape their rosters, reshape their outlook. Andrew Roy wants to reshape that throw over the outstretched reach of Sean Mott, who never had a chance, and it's an early break chance for New York.
Not the execution that Coach Maxtad was looking for.
No. Brownlee double-teamed. And a blade pushed by the breeze, the wind, not the actual DC squad. And, oh my goodness, Nick Whitlock able to maintain possession. Seen a couple of those in the league this weekend. Ollie Artis had one for San Diego that was ruled down. Replays actually ruled that it was probably up. Whitlock, a nervy catch there. It's his 3rd goal of the game to put the Empire up 3.
Well, it's a lot easier to make a second effort score when there's absolutely nobody else around you. Completely uncovered. Whitlock with plenty of time to figure this hammer from Sam Jonas out, and certainly no flaws on Jonas's part.
Off the nose.
Maybe that's just how they do it in New Zealand. I don't know.
All smiles after a catch like that, whereas if it had been a bobble and a drop, there certainly would not have been the same smiles.
Well, that's 2 straight goals for Nick Whitlock, which is not what you want to hear if you're a DC fan, considering that Whitlock's on the defense.
In the span of 42 seconds of game time. The buzzer beater at the end of the half, and then the early break to start this 3rd quarter. Out of bounds pull will give DC good field position.
I know Whitlock and Brownlee play on the same line, but it seems a little foolish that if you have 2 pullers that good, that you would have any D points where one of them is not initiating the possession.
I know there are teams in the league that would love to have one of those guys. But neither Whitlock nor Brownlee on the field this point. Grovick resets to Nissen. Here's Dowd, guarded by Barry.
Dowd got off to a hot start in the 1st quarter, but has been pretty quiet since.
Nissen shooting it from Mott. And Sean Mott is there.
And a perfect throw from Jacques Nissen, who's a player who I think excels playing in windy conditions. He's got such great control of the disc. And I think if you're DC and we're seeing the breeze pick up, lean into that. Give this guy the rock and let him cook.
Such a great point, Keith. The year that Jacques' Brown team won it all, 2 years ago in Madison, was the year with absolutely brutal weather. And their quarterfinal game, I think against Aidan Downey's Georgia team, was played in absolutely miserable torrential downpour, gusting winds. And the way Jacques was able to completely calibrate to those conditions and be the best guy on the field that day is a huge reason why Brown got past the quarters. May have been a pre-quarter now that I think about it. Everything from that weekend runs together. It was just raining and windy and miserable the whole time, except where there was a rainbow during the semis. Up the line, Atkins leaves his feet, accelerates for the snag, and throws the score to Williams. That was pretty.
A.J. Merriman coming over to defense, so we are seeing him get in some of those crossover points, but just too much space for Atkins. And I think on that point, DC struggling with their help coverage. They blew an early switch trying to help, and that gave up the first continue, and then here, coming over to help on this one, leaves a wide open target for Atkins to hit. And he's been really quick at finding continue options and getting the disc out of his hands. Not the guy you want to let build up a lot of steam.
A conversation that us in the ultimate conversation sphere have had for years is, should Atkins be a handler, or should he be a cutter, or should he be a defender? Like, he seems like he can do all those things, and what do you think his primary job should be for this Empire team?
Well, because they have so many other talented players around, I think you want to have him coming under and then able to stretch the field with his throws. It gives him an opportunity to threaten downfield as a cutter. You want to get him in an active position, but you know, with guys like Jack Williams around, sometimes you want to have one of those guys downfield.
Roy, kind of like Rushmeyer Bailey, not a guy that hucks off, and that was deflected on the mark, but caught anyway by Merriman. Second time today that Schnottigl has gotten a piece of the disc, but not gotten a block. And now Christian Boxley speeds up into the end zone to haul in the floating backhand from Wodach. And a clean hold for the Breeze with 9:11 to play in the third.
I think the crossfield hammer is sometimes a maligned throw. People look at it as maybe flashy and unnecessary, but that A.J. Merriman hammer unlocked the field for DC. Wodach and Boxley basically uncovered on this opposite side, and really smart play by Boxley to recognize that with nobody behind him, he had all day to walk this disc into the end zone. But all keyed by that opening throw from Merriman across the field, using the width and exposing the underbelly of the defense.
2 goals, 2 assists for Boxley.
Boxley entering this weekend 10th in the UFA in receiving yards with 617.
Here's Rushmeyer Bailey to Williams. Atkins, quick release for LeBar, who shoots it into the Breeze, and it's deflected by the Breeze's defender, Ben Greenberg.
And for a moment, I think Greenberg worried he may have just deflected that right into the hands of the offense. But they do get possession, and now Greenberg's immediately taking a shot the other way.
And that's going to be a punt.
DC's D-line offense has yet to get much going.
After that throwaway, they're now 2 for 6 on break chances today.
And many of those possessions have been very short.
That's a foul.
Yeah, I think the disc may be dislodged from Atkins' hand after he caught it.
Strip, foul, same thing. And we talk about the guys the DC offense has lost, but defensively, no more David Bloodgood, no Alexandre Fall, no Moussa Ja. Aiden Downey is out. Jasper Tom is out. I mean, that's a handful of world-class players. And without those guys, even with those guys, it can be tough to stop New York. Without those guys, It's like playing with your offhand. Matt LeBar in the end zone to reestablish the 3-goal lead for New York.
Now, if you put all those guys on a ultimate scale and put Don DeMarais in the other bucket, which side's heavier, Evan? The next time we see these two teams play, they could look very different. But all the more valuable for DC to potentially steal a win here. They've got a hole to climb out of, but they got off to a good start. If they can figure out a way to draw closer here before this quarter ends, they could potentially strike in the fourth quarter. There's a lot up for grabs for DC's opportunity to reach the postseason if they could steal a win even with this incomplete roster.
Roy initiates the possession from the back of the end zone after an excellent New York pull. Merriman lets it launch. Gabe Dowd unable to get there. Saw the acceleration, created space between him and Schnodigal, but could not run it down. And a drop from Barry. Did not expect the sizzle on that short throw from Whitlock, perhaps. Mott the other way to Dowd. Back to Nissen. Here's Boxley. New York calling for steps. Travel not granted. Mott in the reset space says, let's just finish it right here. Mott to Dowd for the goal.
And redemption for Dowd. You see him tapping his chest. I do think he actually misread that huck from Merriman. Did not get the right angle on it. And so he had to regain some of that horizontal space with his cut. But if he had seen where the throw was going earlier, I think he could have accelerated a little earlier and actually had a chance to run that down. Just the mistake from Barry. That throw not on the money. And then Mott finishing it off. This one was a little close. But that's the thrill ride you get with Sean Mott, isn't it?
Well, look, if Solomon Rushmeyer-Bailey had the disc in that spot, he would have been looking for the hockey assist. But Sean Mott, not that he's looking for the assist, but he's been the playmaker on his team. He's got that mindset that it's his job to get it done.
Two players on the opposite ends of the lefty handler spectrum, Evan.
Let's check in with Dan. I believe he's got something on DC's potential adjustments. Dan?
Yeah, what they're trying to do is force those same third throws of more than about 20 yards or so. They say just contain.
Williams shoots it, looking for Alex Davis. It narrowly eludes the defender, Joshua Leitner. And into the end zone it goes. The adjustments didn't work there, Dan.
No, not necessarily on that one. Again, that's the exact throw that not necessarily they don't want, but we'll say that's the first phase where they cannot allow that long, when the Empire are in their dominator set, that long huck. But after that doesn't get off, they want to pinch and force to the sidelines. And for that DC Breeze defense especially, both lines, a lot of frustration on the sideline to start this third half because thinking back to the Kevin Healy layout on Alex Davis, those are the kind of layouts, that's the kind of D that they know they need to get, and just standing about 10 feet from it, a fingertip away, and that's how the DC Breeze defense is feeling right now. Like they're really close, they're causing the pressure, they're just not finishing their opportunities, even getting the block and then converting those breaks.
Thank you, Dan. This DC team does feel like it's been a game of missed opportunities thus far.
Disastrous pull receive here for the DC offense. Mishandled by the player. I believe it was Dowd who was going to catch it and center it.
Is this the fourth or fifth time that they've started a possession in the back of their end zone? Only this time the defense is all over them.
That's a dangerous crossfield pass from Roy. It worked out. Mott thought he was going to launch it deep for Dowd. Instead, goes under for Grovik. Nissen with a left hand.
Grovik's free deep.
Jacques finds him. Like there's magnets. Perfect angle on that toss from Jacques Nissen, who's 10 days away from his 25th birthday. Remember, it was just a few days after his 18th birthday in 2019 that he made his UFA debut for the Breeze. It was 12 days after his 18th birthday, in fact, in 2019. So he is in his 7th year in the league. Today's his 60th game.
On the other end, they've got a even earlier birthday boy, Viva Vandenbrink, who's in his first year with the team. So less experience, but birthday's nice and close proximity. I believe he's turning 22 on the 17th.
He's 22 now. He'll turn 23 next Sunday. The native of Utrecht in the Netherlands. See if Vandenbrink can create something defensively here. McCutcheon has been pretty quiet today, doing his job, but not getting the blocks that changed the game last week against Montreal.
That's a bit more typical of him. I mean, this is a guy who has like 2 to 5 blocks most seasons.
Yeah.
Despite being a tremendous defender.
Yacht was calling for it. Williams shoots it. And Yacht made the adjustment, but he couldn't haul it in. And off the deflection, A.J. Merriman cleans it up.
Nice job by the 2 defenders to close in, make Yacht have to attack it, make his job a lot tougher.
Lev Blumenfeld, who you gave the shout out to earlier, making up the ground against Yacht, and the throw from Williams was slightly misplaced. There's Kevin Healy elevating over Rushmeyer Bailey, and then throwing the score to Luke Rafus. It's DC's 3rd break of the day, and it's a 1-goal game.
And to get it on a deep turnover targeting Ben Yacht has to feel really good. We were just talking about how this DC team has felt like close but not quite, and that in some ways feels like the story of the franchise, and it's playing out here in this game. But now they come up with it. They get the turn, they punch it in without needing to bring the O-line onto the field. It's got to feel really good for this D-line defense, for this DC D-line, and maybe something they could build some momentum with. This will get you fired up on this next D point. We'll have to see how New York responds.
16-15 New York with 16 minutes left in the game.
And New York's bringing out basically a D-line plus Alex Atkins. Now, with a D-line for them, you get John Randolph and Marquez Brownlee out there. But we'll see a different unit for New York trying to navigate the response.
There have been a ton of 1-goal games between these two teams through the years. Are we on track for another today? Atkins cross field. He didn't like it when he released it, but it works out.
Yeah, perfect release might have been one that Miles Grovic could have recovered on, but instead with it going all the way across the field, Grovic had to let it go.
Atkins was hunched over, hoping for the best. Now Randolph up the sideline. Cowan hoping it'll come back, but it won't.
Love the hustle from Vandenbrink to make sure, right? No reason to sit and watch for Cowan to potentially make some great toe-in grab. Go get it. And Vandenbrink pays the price, though. Looks like he's going to walk off for an injury sub. And that's going to let DC bring in Christian Boxley. Not bad for your offense going the other way.
John Randolph with his first throwaway of the season. And an opportunity here for the DC Breeze to try and tie this thing up.
Drew Schnodigal subbing in for the Empire in place of Jacob Cowan.
Boxley. Can he be the engine of this break chance and allow DC to keep their 2 timeouts? Isaac Lee gets it to the hands of Michael Wagner. Keeping the disc moving. Grovic back to Lee. The college teammates at Maryland connect again. Deep shot looking for Wagner. Floating for a while. Wagner's under it. And this game is tied.
And they may bring this back. Are we going to get another timeout? No, they're going to call a travel against Grovic. I talked about how this throwing game has grown a lot, but you got to keep those feet.
take it off the board for now. Last time this game was tied, Keith, was 4-4. That was early in the second quarter. New York in the midst of a 3-0 run to take a lead, and they've led ever since. DC, though, has hung around. Maxstad walking stride for stride with the sideline ref. Grovic bumped by Randolph, asking for a call, doesn't get one. Boxley resets. DC trying to be patient. Merriman over the top. Tie game. Michael Wagner in the end zone for the Breeze, and it's 16-all.
Nicely executed by DC, and a great attack from Christian Boxley to create the space for Merriman to throw that into. And that's what you get with a guy who can cut the way Boxley does, bringing him over to the offensive possession. Boxley gets the backwards reset, and you see he's kind of out of the play and then reactivates. And look at him taking up this space, bringing over the defense to him, and that opens up the Wagner behind him. So the defense having to help to try and cover up Boxley's upline cut is what freed up Wagner to get the score.
Bruchmeyer Bailey gains some immediate yards to Williams, and then Cowan gets it right back to Jack. Luke Rafus on the mark, broken by Williams, and then Cowan continues for Davis. Closing in on the final minute here in the third.
Nice defense from DC, forces an errant reset from Davis.
And a chance for DC to take their first lead since the end of the first quarter. Brandon Lamberty keeps it moving to Greenberg. And DC, with what you could call its second D-line, punches in another break.
Evan, after that first DC break, I mentioned how I thought it was vital for New York to have a good response. I don't know if what you want to do is send your D-line out there to play offense, because you really need to make sure that DC isn't about to pick up a bunch of momentum from their defense. Instead, DC adds a second break. Now they're confident. Now they've got you a little bit shaken, and they drive in another score. And these two teams are taking turns in the driver's seat in this game. In the first quarter, it was DC. In the second quarter, it was New York. And now, once again, it's DC out in front.
Vandenbrink, the goal from Joshua Leitner. Leitner playing in just his second ever UFA game. Vandenbrink in just his third ever UFA game.
And despite the presence of Vandenbrink, one of the interesting things about this DC team to me is the homegrown talent. A lot of these young players that we're talking about are guys who came up in the DC area. You know, when you look at Michael Wagner, Gabe Dowd, these are guys who played Youth Ultimate in the DMV. And now they're here playing for this team. Josh Leitner, another one of those guys. They have a youth club team called the Foggy Bottom Boys. Jacques Nissen winning a youth club championship with that team once upon a time. They have built up a strong base of Youth Ultimate, and it's benefiting this team all the way up here at a senior level.
And I talked to Rowan McDonald a couple weeks ago before he played his first game with Boston. Just reflecting on his time in DC, what you just said is what Rowan was most proud about. It's the culture that they've built in the greater DC Frisbee community, where they have cultivated such talent. Because as Rowan put it, DC's a desert. Nobody moves to DC for Frisbee. They move to New York. They move to the Bay. They don't come to DC. And while there's certainly some exceptions to that, as the huck goes up from Atkins, It's perfectly placed for Matt Labar. Alex Atkins keeps the Empire behind for just 23 seconds. Tied at 17s.
Another one of those under 35-second scores for the Empire, and when their offense is doing that, that's where they want to be. And there, I think the Breeze defense just lulled by the Dominator. Empire have been coming out aggressively with these Dominator sets, and over-the-top defenders are going to look to help. And here, just missing a streaking Labar. Can't let him get behind you because those Dominator sets are going to give throwers the chance to catch the disc with separation to put up deep shots. If you get caught trying to think about, hey, can I help on one of these long throws or can I pick up a switch, you can let the offense get behind you. Another one of these tough to handle pulls. This has been one of the signature parts of New York's defense in this game.
We've seen buzzer beaters in each of the first 2 quarters. It was Wodach for DC in the first. It was Whitlock for New York in the second. Breeze with a chance as the final seconds tick down in the third. Crossfield hammer. Merriman finds Grovic with 5. Complete to Mott with 3. And he throws it right into the hands of New York's Sam Jonas as time expires. I don't think he saw him. He thought that look would be open, and Jonas playing catch-up keeps us tied at the end of 3.
2 open targets for Mott. Had to throw that with OI edge and put it up around the defense. It's tough from the low side of the field, but it's what you need to execute in that moment. I think getting a jump ball to A.J. Merriman in that situation is a much better setup than throwing it directly to Sam Jonas.
3 down, 1 to go. Absolutely nothing decided yet with the best rivalry in the league on display.
Happy Mother's Day to all the Empire mothers out there. Love you, Mom.
Happy Mother's Day to all the Empire moms out there. Mother's Day? Yeah, I love my mom. Captain Lawrence is the exclusive food and beverage provider of the New York Empire.
The winner in double overtime for New York.
Check out their truck at every Empire home game. And good luck deciding between their terrific sandwiches and awesome burgers. Maybe just get both.
We look forward to seeing you all season long
at the stadium at Memorial Field in Mount Vernon, New York.
Don't forget to pick up your tickets to our next home game at the stadium at Memorial Field.
Another thriller coming down the home stretch between the DC Breeze and the New York Empire. 2 of the 4 all-time winningest franchises in the history of the association. And another memorable conclusion set to unfold. The Empire looking for their 132nd win all-time. The Breeze trying to get win number 110, which is 4th all-time. Madison's got the 2nd most wins. And Toronto is number 3. Here's the score by quarter, Keith. Does it surprise you that the Breeze have won 2 out of the 3 quarters?
It does prior to this game, but not after it began. Nearly a first throw turnover for New York to start this 4th quarter in the worst way.
Now, there's been some moments of clunkiness for the Empire offense, and they've needed some heroic plays to save possessions like that one there from Kai Schniedergers, who celebrated his birthday on Friday, making his Empire debut out of UC Santa Cruz. And Luke Rafus may have gotten hurt, but he makes a sensational leaping block. Gets some dap from Jack Williams. Rafus somehow seems to always come up with a big play in big games. He's only played defense in his career, Keith. The 530-something points he's played in his career, all but 2 of them have been on D. Merriman's Huck wants Healy, and it's easily intercepted by Jonas. So Sam Jonas with a couple of key second half blocks at the end of the third, and now here early in the fourth. Oh, and Healy able to lay out for the Ruschmeyer-Bailey dish. Little too casual there from Saul. DC, another chance to retake the lead. Foul on the mark. A free 10 for the Breeze.
Dan Hilton mentioned Healy getting a fingertip on a block earlier. He got a lot more than a tip on that one. Big takeaway for the Breeze.
Hammer from Lee looking for Merriman in the red zone. AJ's going to take a timeout. Did not want to take a chance with a stall count at 5. DC will have 1 timeout left after this, but that just tells you the critical importance of this break opportunity here for the Breeze.
And Merriman holding a timeout from earlier in this point, and basically had a choice. Am I going to try and throw a cross-field throw to Kevin Healy, going essentially upwind? It seems like the wind has died down a bit here, but the wind tends to be worse the higher in the air you throw it. There's Healy's layout block. And a critical one for DC. Quickly initiating play. And I think Merriman, Evan, he's got 2 blocks already in this game. I believe he's now tied all-time in Breeze franchise history with Rowan McDonald.
You are
for
correct.
Leading in blocks. So if he gets another, he will take the all-time lead.
Entering today, the only team in the league that had the same player leading in goals, assists, and blocks was Rowan McDonald for the Breeze. But he's now got company in the blocks department. And now Rowan's doing his work for Boston after a decade in D.C. Andrew Roy, Scuber over the reach of Jonas into the end zone for Grovic. DC breaks to start the fourth and takes the 1-goal lead.
DC really surging in this late part of the game to get back in front. Scored 5 of the last 6 here. And New York's looking for answers. You've got a veteran team. You expect them to be able to figure it out. And they're at home, but right now this DC team's giving them all they can handle. If they thought they were going to get anything less than the Breeze's best, they were sorely mistaken.
Let's go to Dan down on the sidelines. Dan?
Well, Evan, the chess match continues. The DC Breeze are willing to give up those long swings horizontal across field, and the Empire know that. So they're trying to look. The name, have you heard of Jack Williams? They're looking for Jack more in the middle of the field and quicker, in the same way that DC early in the game made that adjustment.
Travel was called. The throw was a turnover, though. The officials will confer. The whistle was clearly after the throw. This should be a turnover. But it's unclear what James Kolinski, Noah Polsky, Jason Dumont, Matt Lemieux will decide.
So, I am saying it should have been the advantage call. I think with the throw is my fault. It goes back to
DC going to be dissatisfied with this ruling.
Xavier Maxstad trying to keep the sideline calm and collected. This game got pretty chippy in the early portions. I think things have mostly settled down, but it's pretty characteristic for the fourth quarter to bring out the fire in everybody.
Some members of the Breeze sideline making the integrity signal. But New York is going to maintain possession here.
Has that ever worked? Has anybody ever goaded anybody else in the integrity call?
It's happened 4 times. Don't ask me to name them.
Alex Atkins with a big size mismatch and uses it to great effect.
New life on this possession for New York. Yacht open underneath. Quick move to LeBar. Continue for Davis. Rushmeyer-Bailey looking end zone. And the Empire take advantage of the gift from the officials. And now we're getting a technical foul against Charlie McCutcheon. If you were watching on WatchUFA.tv last week, you know that sometimes his language isn't fit for Mother's Day. And the Breeze are going to have 20 yards more to go on this upcoming possession because the Empire are going to pull from midfield.
Can we pause? And we see how this throw from Yacht allows all this access to this side of the field where the defense is not. Right? There's going to be a lot more room over here where the team gets room to throw into because Yacht made a quick decision. Bounce the disc back, we can play from here, and now the defense is at a big disadvantage, trying to recover, and the Empire are just able to continue with the momentum of the disc for uncovered throwers. Great job by Yacht, bouncing that disc wide and using the opposite end of the field against the defense.
So I believe it was a technical on McCutcheon. And New York will pull from midfield. DC currently prepared to receive the pull from the back line of the end zone. The key here for New York is to make sure this lands inbounds. And it's well done by Whitlock. Blade rolls to the back corner. Roy gets it to Nissen. 18 all, 9 minutes to go. Mott going deep. Randolph, little contact. It will be pass interference.
And Randolph is also not happy with it. I do think you're starting to see this players get a little bit tighter. You don't. Sean Mott deep kind of gets John Randolph. Not what you typically expect. I think it caught New York by surprise too.
Take a look at the replay after the sequence if we can to get a better look. For what it's worth, I thought it was a foul watching it live.
And the tensions continue to rise. Boxley frustrated with the mark from Whitlock.
It's a conversation right now just as much as it's an ultimate game. Maybe a wrestling match. The foul's going against New York. Gavin May called for the bump as he went down, but Boxley will center the disc on the goal line. Clock still ticking, under 8 minutes left.
And the conversation between Boxley and Whitlock continues as well.
Boxley takes his time, and Andrew Roy has the score. 19-18, DC back up 1.
And you can see that players still have more to say to one another, although Whitlock and Boxley exchanging a high five in their discussion. But tension's rising right now. Players want this, and they want to make sure that it's fair, and these are two physical teams, and they're viewing how these calls are going quite differently. Here's the initial connection between Randolph and Mott, and I'm not sure I really see Randolph's argument there. Mott was in front of him, and Randolph went to his back. And then Boxley, the 2-on-1, and then another 2-on-1. Only this one's for a score.
Well, we were talking about it pregame and at halftime. Around the UFA, there have been a bunch of one-sided games decided by double digits through the first few weeks of the season. And then there have been some games decided by just one or two. And in these games, it could feel like a tie. But the win goes to one team and the loss goes to the other based upon how they execute down the stretch when they're tired. Foul, touch foul in the back there. Sarcastic cheer from the Empire sideline.
Yeah, but these types of cheapies, that's I think the second time that McCutcheon has picked up one with just a touch foul in the back. You don't need it. You got to make a better decision about when you're going to try and make the play and when you're going to back off.
Back to Williams and into the end zone for SRB. 19 all, 6:49 to play.
And the sidelines are getting vociferous on both ends. This game is turning into a bit of an energy battle, and who's going to have the stronger mental game, able to execute. And we talked about that. Some of these New York guys have a reputation for getting under people's skin. DC knows that coming in. They know they're going to contend with that. We'll see which team it benefits down the stretch. But credit to this DC defense for taking a New York team that had just one offensive turnover, and even that had been a wide-open completion in their first game, and giving them some fits.
Grovic wide open underneath, and he'll shoot it. Merriman versus Whitlock. AJ elevates. A couple yards shy of the end zone. Oh, he scoobers it for the score. Graham Turner running with him. A.J. Merriman in his bag right now.
And Whitlock got the better of that matchup the last time because I think it was a jumping battle, and Whitlock is 6'4" and long. This time, make it a little more about running and positioning. And Merriman, you can see him takes the line, goes up aggressively. Whitlock almost peels off of this scoober in time to make a play on it, but well placed by Merriman to make sure that it's going to drop in.
For a split second, you and Breeze fans were thinking, could this be conservation of greatness from AJ? But no, it works out. A little more difficult perhaps than it needed to be, but hey, it worked, so who am I to question it? Merriman sprinting back to his DC sideline. Luke Rafis with the pull. Breeze up one, trying to reshape the East Division conversation with a road win at New York. Both these teams take on the Colorado Apex in their next game next weekend. The Breeze on Friday Night Frisbee. The Empire Saturday in the WatchUFA.tv game of the week.
Alex Atkins' former team. Atkins taking off deep now.
Floater for Yacht, he's there. Here's Chartok. Empire having to work for their goals much harder today than they did last week against Toronto. But that was a good patient possession, ending with Atkins in the end zone. 20 all, 5:37 left.
Another beautiful switch of the field from the Empire, going from one sideline all the way to the other. So difficult for a defense to have to contain the whole width of this field. And you can see how much easier these throws are going to that break side. Technically LeVar's throwing a break side throw there, but essentially unmarked. He's able to throw a flat forehand that attacks that weak part of the field. Atkins gets the goal.
Second goal for Atkins to go along with 5 assists and the 1 block. LeVar now with 3 goals and 3 assists. By the way, Atkins is almost at 800 total yards in this game. 507 throwing yards as we play our 41st point Floater from Roy. Nissen, go gadget, arms, and the foul. He's always had a crazy wingspan, and he needed it right there. And then, was that hand blocked on the mark? Not sure if it was defended or just a bad throw from Nissen, but either way, it's New York's disc as Agami Contreras was right there for the defensive pressure.
Yeah, and Agami Contreras let him know afterwards, clapped directly into Nissen's face. Gutsy choice by Nissen to try and throw that from that position so quickly after a stoppage.
Randolph working with this New York D-line to try to retake the lead for the Empire. Jonas wanted to go back to Randolph. Mott denied it.
Great switch from Mott there.
Back to Randolph. 10 yards away. Reset for May. Gavin May, the former Spider, gets it to Simmons. Empire trying to save their last timeout and retake the lead and keep the timeout in the tank.
And keep this DC O-line on the field. Try and tire them out.
Point began with 5:37 left. It's almost 2 minutes off the clock.
Can New York find a way off the sideline or into the end zone?
Elston flips it in. Elston to May. Empire up by one.
Bobby Elston, a guy who's gotten sparing opportunities with the Empire, but has been a part of the program. One of the guys who's down the roster in a lot of cases. Excuse me, that was Luke Berry. Just going back, I gave that ascribed that clapping motion to Axel Agami Contreras. It was actually Luke Berry who was giving it to Nissen, and then it's Elston giving it to May for the score, and a big D-line break for New York. To do it without your stars on the field, I think is really helpful for this New York team. If you want to talk about being a deep team, you got to live up to it.
Critical point back on offense for the Breeze.
And they tried again to roll that back corner pull. And look at how little yardage it gives DC to have to start with the disc on that back line.
Grovic back to Wodach.
I wonder if that's a little home cooking. Ooh. You get used to pulling in these exact conditions.
I think that's absolutely a part of it. Three minutes to play. New York by one. So far, so good this possession for the Breeze O-line. Nissen marked by Alex Davis. Trying to squeeze it through. Mott and Brownlee go way back. Teammates long ago in Philly. And Brownlee called for the foul. They were born in the exact same month. Marquez is a few weeks older. They're both 32, and Andrew Roy is wearing number 32, and he's in the end zone for the Breeze to tie this thing up at 21 all.
I'm not even sure I feel that good about that possession for the Breeze. I feel like New York did a really good job pushing DC out of the middle of the field to the sideline. They set up a good opportunity for a block. They nearly got one. But on the flip side, there's 2.5 minutes left in this game. You're not looking for good opportunities. You're looking for results. Those good opportunities, in air quotes, don't win you games necessarily. Not in the small sample size of the final 3 minutes of the fourth quarter.
What a game this has turned out to be. New York's turn on O. Both teams with 21 goals, both teams with 7 blocks, both teams with 14 turns. Both teams with 6 breaks. It has been super even through 46 minutes. Great DC defensive pressure and a release foul provided by Oliver Chartok. Quickly back to Alex Atkins. He sees Yacht going. Instead, he finds LeBar under. Now LeBar bluffed the deep shot, looking Yacht's way. Cowan at midfield. Shooting it. A floater. 4 bodies are there. And it's Oliver Chartok winning it in the end zone to put the Empire back in front. Wow.
In the end, there were maybe 5 bodies there, but I think if you stacked the 2 Empire ones on top of each other, they would have exceeded the height of the 3 Breeze guys. Atkins and Chartok in the space against Luke Rafis and Michael Wagner. I know it's just the 2 of them with help from a catcher on the backside. I don't think all 3 DC guys are tall enough.
Atkins with his hands, or I should say Cowan with his hands on his knees as that throw floated in the air. Chartok saved the day. Atkins apologizing for the contact.
It feels like a million years ago that we were starting this game, Evan, and you were talking about how New York felt like they got bailed out by a couple 50-50 balls in their prior game against Toronto. Well, it turns out they can still go back to the well.
22-21 Empire.
Something can't teach height, right?
That's been an issue for DC for a long time. And yet they're within 1 on the road, looking for a statement result.
And keep watching how well DC can get into the middle of the field. New York's really been trying to push them out.
We saw 1 overtime game in the league in week 1. We saw another in week 2. We haven't had one yet so far in week 3. In the final minute, the Breeze trailing by 1. Grovic gets it back to Roy. Simmons on the mark. Misthrowed a little bit, but handled by Boxley on the adjustment.
He's so good at quickly reacting to what the thrower's giving him.
Here's Mott with 37 seconds. Boxley within 7 yards of the end zone. DC does have a timeout if they need it. Back to the middle of the field, Grovic. Here's Boxley floating it for Nissen. Tied at 22 with 19 seconds left.
I think Boxley, who stayed a little bit out of the play in the beginning, recognized that he has the quickness advantage on Gavin May. And in the red zone was like, hey, let's give me some space to work. Goes back, gets the disc, and then resets. And then instead of having Mott come back to him, actually tells Mott, hey, go away so that I have room. Points to Grovic in the middle, and that sets up the continue. Then into the end zone for Nissen. Really heads-up play and a show of the game IQ that Christian Boxley possesses.
Well, here we go again, Keith. Tied late. DC and New York. The Breeze pulling to the Empire. The strategy of just trying to guard the end zone but not put the pressure on the midfield cutters didn't work at halftime. Well, they changed it now. They've taken their final timeout, the Breeze have, to strategize.
Yeah, every quarter has ended with a buzzer-beating score so far. DC's got to figure out a way to change that unless it's going to be them scoring. They simply don't have the height to play 500 with New York. I mean, A.J. Merriman could do his darndest, but they're missing too many guys. Maybe if you had Fred Farah and Aiden Downey here, you could do something different. But I think right now they need to try and get bodies in front of the thrower. Make the throw worse so that you have a better chance to play a positioning game rather than a jump ball game. Easier said than done, however.
Had buzzer beaters at the end of the first and second quarters. Mott's throw blocked by Jonas at the end of the third. So we'll see if DC can get the block here at the end of the fourth and create the third overtime game of the season in the first 3 weeks here in the 2026 UFA journey.
A great pull would help a lot.
Merriman's going to launch it. New York has Yacht, Williams, Atkins, Rushmeyer-Bailey, Cowan, Whitlock, and LeBar.
It's a lot of big bodies, Evan.
Merriman pulls for the Breeze. 22 all with a game on the line. Fire away, says the loudspeaker with 8 seconds to go.
Whitlock and Atkins are forming into the back of the end zone.
That's going to be a turnover. DC will pick up the disc. No timeouts, and we are headed to overtime. Ray Lou was asking for a foul on the mark because that would have stopped the clock with a second or two left and given them a chance for the restart. But we are headed.
He's asking SRB for the integrity call, I think.
We got more free Frisbee here in New York City. 22 all, the Breeze and the Empire. Overtime beckons again.
A little Mother's Day gift from the UFA.
So that's a huge defensive stop for DC. They're disappointed they didn't get a last-second shot to try to win it. 5 more minutes on the clock when we return. Overtime with the Breeze and the Empire. Friday Night Frisbee on Sunday. Make it make sense. Final seconds of regulation, Keith. What'd you see?
I mean, I think Rushmeyer-Bailey hits the disc while it's in Raymond Lou's hand. He can't get a chance to release it because it's been jostled. I think he has a case there. I know that the referees are reticent to make a call that feels like it's going to change the outcome of a game. You want to let the players play. But this is a rare instance in which I think Lou has a pretty strong case. Hey, I could have gotten off a throw. The mark illegally hit the disc while it was in my hands. So, but it wouldn't be a little DC New York without some controversy, Evan.
Each team gets one timeout in each overtime period. DC will receive the pull to start the first overtime. If we go to double OT, it'd be Universe Point, and it would be New York's disc receiving on sudden death. Overtime feels appropriate, Keith. The way these teams have battled back and forth today. The Empire won the second quarter 9-6. They didn't win any other quarters. We were tied 17 all after 3, 5 all in the fourth. Each team with 6 breaks, each team with 7 blocks. Alex Atkins with over 800 total yards. That is the highest any player has had through the first 3 weeks of the season in the league. Austin Taylor also had 800 exactly in Atlanta's double overtime loss at Austin.
Yeah, but DC is hot on their tails, and it feels like a bit of an undermanned DC squad. They have a pretty strong cast, unable to play in this game, but here they are hanging tough in New York and potentially a chance to really shake the foundations of the league. And Sean Mott loses the disc on his own goal line.
What just happened? He wasn't even pressured. He just threw it into the ground.
It slips out of his hand. I don't know if he wanted to bring that back, if he was just faking it, but
a disastrous start to the overtime, and Matt Stevens doesn't want to hang around and let the D-line make a mistake, even with Randolph and Brownlee and Antoine Davis and Axel Agami and others on the field.
What an odd game it's been for Sean Mott. 1 goal, 5 assists. He's got over 300 total yards, but he's got 3 turnovers, and all of them have been bad. This is clearly the worst one.
He tried to holster it, I think, and it just slipped. Unbelievable.
I mean, you look at the turnovers that he's had, and 2 of them were wide open opportunities to score that he missed through, and then this throw on his own goal line. I mean, they have been critical errors. Obviously, he's more than just those 3 mistakes. The guy has 5 assists. It's tied for the lead in the game. But, wow. Not what you expect from the veteran.
Rushmeyer Bailey will pick up with an angled vertical stack downfield. Matt LeBar will be in the reset space behind Rushmeyer Bailey. Jack Williams, guarded by Charlie McCutcheon. Randolph, 7 yards out to Williams, 2 yards away. Into the end zone, and New York breaks to start OT.
And that was pretty good defense on the part of the trio tasked with covering that dominator. Isaac Lee, Charlie McCutcheon, and Viva Vanderbrink. But that's why you run a dominator with Jack Williams and Matt LeBar, is because it's that hard to guard. You can play good defense, and that's not enough. And they tried to cut off the angles. Isaac Lee here against Randolph. They roll the coverage. But it's just so difficult with that much room to be able to cover up everything. And a critical error for DC that's got to crush their win percentage. But they've been playing from difficult positions throughout this game and been able to recover.
There's Matt LeBar on the trainer's table for New York after scoring his 4th goal of the day, getting iced. Meanwhile, Empire ratcheting up the pressure. Under 4 minutes remaining in overtime. New York have stolen the advantage, and now Wodach takes a timeout in his own end zone, not wanting to risk a stall or a turnover, sensing how critically important this point is.
And another great Empire pull that starts DC at the back of their end zone. If you add up how many yards DC's initial possessions are starting from versus New York, I think you're going to find a lot left on the table. If you look at where that centering pass gets to and where DC is starting their offensive possessions from, it's just way further back because of the quality of these New York pulls and their ability to roll them towards that back corner. Really difficult for DC to counteract it. And now you see they're stuck in their own end zone. It's just harder to play from that position. That's why they had to burn this timeout. Here's the pull. This one's from Whitlock. It's been Ian Brownlee throwing these. And again, look at where it lands. And then because it has that extra roll, they get to put it all the way to the back line. And the offense initiates without momentum in their own end zone. That's been a steady pattern for DC, and it's been really difficult to deal with because you can't really guard it.
Nissen will initiate, marked by Brownlee.
And if this game does go to a second overtime, New York gets to receive, so DC basically can't afford to get scored on here.
The referee just called the athletic trainer onto the field.
Is somebody bleeding, perhaps?
That was my thought, too, but I'm not sure.
The attention seems to be centered on Sean Mott.
Ryan Anderson, the longtime athletic trainer for the Empire. And he's going to try to patch him up right on the field.
I think Mom was saying, is it okay if he just tapes over my tights? Like, I don't have time for this.
He didn't want to leave the game.
No.
All right, out of the timeout. Nissen, Roy, Mott stays out there with Wodach, Grovic, Merriman, and Boxley. No more Rowan McDonald. No more Johnny Malks or Tyler Monroe or Alexandre Fall or Moussa Jah or David Bloodgood or any of the many guys that were the heartbeat and backbone of this Breeze team. But it's a new era with guys like Grovic taking the lead and veterans like Wodach continuing to do good things late in his career. Andrew Roy in the end zone. Grovic throws the score. We're tied once again at 23 apiece.
And that was basically a must-have for the Breeze. And they nearly got pinned. A great job by Marquez Brownlee on the mark on Jock Nissen as they came into that timeout. He denies the break throw to Christian Boxley. The initial set, Merriman takes off deep, and Boxley cuts to the break side, and they couldn't get this throw off. But Nissen, at the last second, finds a release valve, and then DC able to march it down the field. Grovic into the end zone for Roy.
A.J. Merriman stays out there on D. Some of these no-names for the Breeze have made an impact today, though, Keith, and I don't mean to be disrespectful when I call them no-names, but, you know, Viva Vandenbrink in his third UFA game, Michael Wagner making his 2026 debut today.
How about Gabe Dowd getting active for the offense to start?
Raymond Liu was thinking about a poach block, but it gets to Davis. Rafus right there. Yacht marked by Merriman.
Yacht with a nasty up line cut against Merriman. Getting into his handler work.
Midway through this 5-minute overtime period, New York got the opening break after the Sean Mott error. Cowan on the doorstep. Williams denied the cutting angle by McCutcheon, but Atkins shakes free of Lee. And a single spike from Atkins, who's fired up.
And he's sensing a chance for New York to take a win. And there's the extra spikes. He just saved them. He saved them for the rest of the field. And now DC's offense has to be effective. They have no margin for error.
Well, talking about the fire that these two guys have, Atkins and Yacht. Of course, Ben Yacht ejected for this triple spike spree a few years back in Salt Lake. Bryce Merrill used the integrity rule to bring him back into the game. Atkins triple spiked in Salt Lake. Later on, the rest is history. They're teammates now in overtime against the Breeze with 2 minutes to go and DC down 1. Floater for Mott. Chased by Randolph.
Nice throw from Grovic.
Dowd, the UFA rookie, back for Mott. Cross field to the end zone. We're tied once again. Gabe Dowd spikes it off his tush after catching his 5th goal of the game.
Yeah, everyone I think has ended with that spike. I think he's going for the heel spike, which is the spike du jour for the kids. But he's getting his work in because he's finding the end zone a lot. I mean, even when he was finding the end zone last week, he did it he had 5 goals on 100 receiving yards. He's an end zone threat But we've seen him open up the field for them. Grovic with a nice throw to Mott to space, and then Mott adds his own. Just a big lefty to the open side. Nicely done and quick. DC needs to get on and off the field on offense so their D-line gets as many shots as possible.
One way or another, we know that DC's going to need a defensive stop. Whether they get it here at the end of overtime or if it remains tied and they get it in double OT, New York will start on offense in double OT. The Breeze need at least one stop. It could be right here. It's deflected but caught anyway. Are you kidding me? Isaac Lee, catch your D's. Jacob Cowan maintains possession off the deflection. Just when you thought we've seen all the crazy we could see.
Will that be the last gasp for DC?
Atkins hammer to the doorstep. LeBar flips it into the end zone. DC demoralized. Isaac Lee knows he had the game in his hands potentially. 1:04 remaining in a one-goal game.
Evan, personally, in most cases, I hate the phrase catch your D's because most of the time when you're on defense, you're trying. If you get a fingertip on it, it's because that's the best thing you could do. It's probably appropriate here. I think he probably could have tried to catch that. And I think Isaac Lee's probably thinking about it on the sideline right now.
Be thinking about it the entire ride home as well.
Well, he's got nationals in a couple weeks, so he's got to flush that error. He's got a big one ahead of him here. I mean, I think he's going to get on at a deep point if DC can manage to get the offense off the field.
All right, before DC can think about winning the game, they need to tie the game. They've got less than a minute to do it.
Yeah, they don't look exactly as urgent as you might think.
We've seen them play cool, calm, and collected at the end of quarters.
Oh, they've got Gabe Dowd open. Great switch from New York to help cover that up and force this possession longer. DC cannot afford to be so relaxed with the disc.
They are out of timeouts. There are 30 seconds left. Another overtime classic between these two great rivals. Grovic with 20 seconds. Boxley in the end zone, reels it in.
And another game saver for Boxley. He made a very similar catch earlier in the game on a jump ball where he saved possession for his team. Does it again, this time for a score. But we saw New York score in 7 seconds earlier in this game, Evan. So 14 on the clock. There's plenty of time.
This last throw here from Grovic. A little cheeky. It worked. And you're right, Keith. Now, at the end of regulation, New York had 19 seconds. DC hurried down, got a turn, and New York didn't get a chance at the end zone. Empire know that if they don't score here, they'll have the disc on offense on Universe Point to start double OT.
Well, last time that these two teams were in a situation like this, Jack Williams got a little extra time on the clock. Threw it after the time expired. Wasn't called. Forced double OT.
And here is Williams mishandling the pull receive. Down to 11 seconds. The Empire. Will they win it here, or will we head to double overtime, or will we get a turnover? It's intercepted. Vandenbrink looking to Rafis. He's got it at the buzzer. The DC Breeze walk off and win in New York 26-25. Insanity.
An absolute heist by DC to steal a win in this situation.
The D and the dime from Vandenbrink, and Luke Rafis goes up for the game-sealing snag with no time left.
And exactly what happened at the end of regulation. New York trying to work the disc up to set themselves up to take the final shot, and they misthrow one of the midfield throws.
Unreal.
This time DC able to intercept it, which gives them time to get off the throw. Randolph just overthrowing into the poach. And Rafis going up strong to secure it. Unbelievable, Evan.
The plot thickens in the East Division as DC stuns the New York Empire 26-25 on Mother's Day in the Big Apple.
Evan, I'm not sure I'd believe it if I didn't see it. We went from saying that New York had scored in 7 seconds and 14 felt like generous to them, to the Empire leaving their home stadium with a loss.
Unbelievable. The third overtime game of the season, the fourth one-goal game of the weekend across the Ultimate Frisbee Association, and a wild finish in New York. DC wins it by 1. Vandenbrink to Rafis at the buzzer of overtime. We'll take a timeout and come back with a chat with a Delta player of the game right after this. The DC Breeze with 2 goals in the final 13 seconds of overtime. This was the end of regulation. DC unable to capitalize on the New York throwaway, but a similar sloppy sequence from the Empire O-line at the end of OT. John Randolph, who you typically think of as being a mistake-free rock, D'd up by Vandenbrink, who swooped in, and then Luke Rafis skies over Randolph with no time left. The Breeze break at the buzzer to just add another unbelievable chapter to this remarkable rivalry. We got AJ Merriman and friends ready for a post-game chat. AJ, the Delta difference maker of the game. AJ, congratulations. What was this game like? How did you guys find a way to win it?
Hey, we just brought the energy. We kept feeding off ourselves, stuck to the game plan, believed in it to the very end, and came out with a good one.
AJ, I mean, it felt like the end of quarters defined this game. I mean, you had some wild end of quarter sequences. Did DC make some adjustments to start to figure out how to navigate those?
We're making adjustments every time. It might not seem like it, but we're getting a little bit better each time. In years past, we've been over in games and important games in the end of quarter situations, but if you get an important one, that's all that matters. But definitely, we are making adjustments.
AJ, what did you see on that last possession of the game where Viva got the block and then Luke skies JR for the game winner?
Hey, listen, Christian Boxley's the best player in the world, but he made a mistake at the end of the first half. We put Viva out there, and Viva did not make a mistake. He came in clutch for the boys. Viva is amazing.
What about Luke Rafus? He's a guy that's just been grinding for years.
Luke battles. Luke has been battling nausea. He's been battling vertigo. He's had injuries up and down his left leg and his shoulder. And Luke just keeps showing up and keeps showing up. You would never know just how hurt he is, and you wouldn't at the end of that game.
AJ, you've been getting a lot of run going both ways. You're playing a ton of points. How are you managing to take on such a big role and play so many points for this team?
When you have these boys behind you, you can do anything. Game point performance is keeping me running in between the games, and then I get out here and just do what the boys need me to do.
What's it like being a part of this rivalry, and how do you find a way in a game like this, undermanned on the road late?
This has been like a hallmark game in my career, and I think in a lot of our careers. There's great, amazing players on both sides. You really get up for these games. I think I made my name in the league guarding Yacht, and then to be able to come out here and worry about other people on the field is an honor. And we all get excited for these games, just like all of them. But it's exciting to see new people hop on the Empire and new people show up on the Breeze, ready to take on this challenge and live up to the moment.
AJ, what if anything did you say to Mont after the hiccup at the start of overtime?
We got you, baby.
And you get this win on the road. You got a home game, Colorado coming to town, Friday night Frisbee just 5 days from now. What will you be most looking forward to about your first ever game against the Apex?
I can't wait to guard Nanda back at home, baby. Nanda's been grinding. I coached him in high school. I've been guarding him for a few years now. Last time I guarded him, he told me, you actually played all right defense on that one, so I'm excited to see him.
Well, hopefully is he coming? Do you know for sure he's coming?
I have no clue, but he better be there.
Well, I hope he's there too, but he's got college nationals just a few days later, so we'll see.
Yeah, you can do both.
AJ, congratulations. Don't break the headset, but look forward to seeing you in 5 days in the nation's capital. Enjoy the ride home, man. What a game.
Yes, sir. Be safe. Happy Mother's Day. Shout out Coach Nancy. Come on. Come on.
AJ Merriman and his merry men. Evan.
Unbelievable. New York absolutely stunned. DC in overtime gets it done. We're back to wrap it up right after this.
With the size, the speed, the read. Did he throw it the full 80 yards of the field?
You cannot kill this Minnesota team.
Are you believing what you're seeing? My hands are on my head up here in the booth.
Was there any doubt? Was there any doubt? Holy smoke!
For the first time ever in the UFA, Colorado and DC meet in an interdivisional matchup as they battle for position in their respective playoff races. The Apex and the Breeze colliding this Friday night. Five days from now in D.C., Friday Night Frisbee returns to Friday. The Apex and the Breeze. Colorado 1-2, and for a good portion of this game, it felt like the Breeze were also headed toward 1-2, but instead they return home 2-1 after a heart-stopping all-timer of a win in this rivalry, the 38th all-time meeting. The Breeze have turned the tide, though, now, Keith. They've won 5 out of 6, including in overtime today. And look, we talked a lot about all the guys that they've lost, that they don't have anymore. But Wiebe van den Brink, Johnny on the spot, how do you say that in Dutch? and Luke Rafus, who's been, as I said to AJ, a grinder for a long time. And he makes the big play over Randolph to win it with no time left.
I think what DC is going to be able to walk away with this game is saying this was a team win. We had a lot of different contributions from different guys. We made some mistakes, but we fought back. And it really looked like they might be dead in the water. They're trailing in OT, knowing that New York is going to receive to start the second overtime, even if they could force it. And they're pulling with 14 seconds left in a tie game. I mean, all New York has to do is not that. Basically, what they did was the one thing they couldn't afford. And now the East, it's a different ballgame.
Boston heads to Montreal next weekend. DC and New York both taking on Colorado. As we mentioned, both will be favored in that game against the Apex. Montreal currently leading in Pittsburgh, so it looks like the Royale could get their first win of the year. One more game that hasn't started yet in Week 3, 5 o'clock Eastern on WatchUFA.tv. The Oregon Steel hosting the Oakland Spiders as the Spiders tried to get to 4-0. They've been dominant at the start of the season. One more reminder, Friday night, 7 o'clock Eastern. I'll have Ian Toner by my side for the Apex and the Breeze. And then I believe it's Dan Hilton and Brian Jones on the call for the Week 4 Game of the Week here at the stadium at Memorial Field, Colorado and New York. And then just 2 weeks from now, less than that, 13 days, New York will try to get some revenge in D.C. for this buzzer-beating heartbreaker loss that they just suffered.
Yeah, I mean, these next 2 weekends, you can have your days and nights fully packed full of Frisbee. Division III college championships will be going on then. Division I the weekend after. So you can spend all day watching the drama for the kids and then watch the pros come out and put on the best show.
Well, Keith, as the head coach of the reigning champs at the D3 level, I wish you and your Wesleyan women all the best as you head to Wisconsin next week. Good luck, and look forward to seeing you at D1 Nationals in Rockford the following week.
Absolutely. I'm thrilled to chase a title, but just like these teams are doing, an inspiring performance here, showing great resilience. And, I mean, just pulling victory from the jaws of defeat by DC. This is going to go down as a classic all-timer in what is the UFA's best rivalry.
There was not any doubt that it was the best, and today only confirms it further, adding more fuel to that fire. Another one-goal game, another overtime game, another slew of wild sequences and moments. And the craziest play of them all, even more than that near block from Isaac Lee, was Wiebe van den Brink to Luke Rafus at the buzzer. DC 26, New York 25. Happy Mother's Day, everybody. For Keith Raynor, Dan Hilton, our entire crew, I'm Evan Lepler saying so long from New York. Thanks for working with us. And enjoying another Sunday of Friday Night Frisbee. We'll see you Friday in D.C. Have a great night, everybody.